Immortal Family Cultivation, I am the reincarnation of a great ancestor. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126 Everyone, Reactions. After coming back to his senses from the shock, Heyook had already landed outside the arena. He knew that a foundation-building cultivator had secretly attacked, and it was most likely Yan Lingyu from the Yan family, because Heyook also saw the latter approaching the ring. Of course, he did not feel angry about the other party's attack, because he knew that if he hadn't been rescued, he would have died. This could be considered a life-saving grace. Although it was a competition and there was no life and death fight, the sword had no eyes, and if there was really a missing part, he could only admit that his skills were inferior to others, and he could not blame others. It was also at this moment that Heyook realized that Yan Lingyu approached the ring and thought he would lose from the beginning, and came to protect him. This made the He family's genius even more dazed. Lost, Heyook lowered his head. He was not unconvinced, but he was a little unbelievable for a while. He felt that he was too arrogant. Before the competition began, he even thought that except Yan Xingkang, no one else in the Yan family was his opponent. However, a man suddenly appeared and defeated him directly. If you lose, you lose. Heyook is not a perfect man. He never thought he was invincible. What made him uncomfortable was that he lost in the competition and lost the point that the He family deserved. At this moment, a heavy sense of unwillingness and guilt swept over his body. Brother Yook actually lost, even Brother Jiu lost, who our He family rely on to score points in the future. That Yan Xingkang hasn't even appeared yet, and he's already behind 2-3. Is Master Hu going to lose to the Yan family like this? Don't be discouraged, we still have competitions later, and we must keep our minds steady. Seeing this scene, the members of the He family in the audience showed depressed expressions. They were a little desperate, thinking that in this final competition, the He family had already lost. They could only watch the winner leave. After the referee announced the winner, Yan Yinglian passed by Yan Lingyu without saying a word, his face indifferent. There was no joy, nor any other emotions. He had withdrawn all his blood and murderous intent. From a distance, he looked like an ordinary person, with restrained true energy. This made Yan Lingyu nod secretly, and sighed that the army was indeed a good place to hone people, as long as you didn't sacrifice yourself. Then, Yan Lingyu shook his head again, thinking, Uncle Shi's personality is a bit too eccentric, and he doesn't have the smoothness of Master Ba. In this case, he should greet him humbly. There is no reason to leave without saying a word. What if Heyook is infected with some kind of inner demon? I have to preach to him when I go back. In his opinion, Heyook is in urgent need of comfort at this moment. Yan Lingyu knows that Xianjiao is a group that is both strong and fragile. Some people are used to smooth sailing since childhood, and when they are suddenly hit, they cannot accept it and have stubborn ideas. Some of them have changed for the better, such as a cultivator named Hai. He feels that after being hit, he still knows shame and is brave. Where there is good, there will naturally be bad. Maybe some people with bad minds will push all this onto others. At this moment, Yan Lingyu is worried that the boy on the other side will bear a grudge against the Yan family because of this. This must be stopped. With this thought in mind, Yan Lingyu slowly walked to Heyook, and said with a hint of encouragement and warmth in his words, Friend Yook, in fact, you are very strong and your performance is also excellent. Don't be defeated by temporary setbacks. The future belongs to you young people. The gentle voice entered Heyook's heart, and he was shocked. His head drooped even more, and his hands clenched tighter in his sleeves. He felt the spirit of the Yan family. Originally, the matter of the white-striped tiger was that his He family was somewhat unreasonable, and when the other party was in danger of his life, he not only rescued it, but also gave encouragement. Heyook thought of the arrogant words he had said a few days ago, and felt even more ashamed. Thank you, Senior Lingyu, for intervening in the rescue. Yook will never forget this kindness. Wow, there's an unexpected gain. This kid is quite sensible. Yan Lingyu was so close to the other party, and the former's breath was unstable, so he could naturally tell whether it was true or not. As mentioned before, the future of the He family is indeed Heyook's. If the Yan family can make friends with him, they can naturally make peace with the He family. Fellow Taoist Lingyu, fellow Taoist Chuangfeng, soon, He Tongfang of the He family came to him, He was worried about the tribe members getting into trouble before, but fortunately Yan Lingyu took action. Because he was close and had a high level of cultivation, He Tongfang also sensed the latter's means. It was a kind of soul Taoist technique. He felt a strong soul fluctuation. This surprised He Tongfang. According to the intelligence, the Yan family was not good at soul cultivation, but Yan Lingyu's soul was extremely powerful, and he could even rescue the body. This also made He Tongfang's heart sink. The 60-40 ratio he said before was a bit exaggerated, and after these few battles between the key training generation, the strength of the Yan family was generally underestimated. Therefore, before the fifth match, He Tongfang had adjusted the odds between him and Yan Lingyu to 50-50. However, today, after learning that the opponent's soul had also developed, his winning rate dropped by another 10%. Because He Tongfang's own soul was not strong. It would take a lot of effort for him to resist the soul attack of the same level, not to mention that Yan Lingyu herself was not famous for her soul. While the opponent was looking at him, Yan Lingyu was also secretly observing He Tongfang. This person had regular features and clear eyes. This reminded Yan Lingyu of Yan Renming, who was also a disciple of Hengshui sect. The latter could abandon everything, even his own people, for his own way. But He Tongfang was able to be sincere and contribute to the family when the family needed him. To be honest, Yan Lingyu was a little envious. If Yan Renming had not gone astray, he would be in the late stage of foundation building now. After a few decades, he might be able to enter the golden elixir before him. He was a golden elixir cultivator of Hengshui sect. The status and power of the Yan family could be raised to a higher level because of this. It is said that things in the world are unpredictable. But fortunately, the Yan family corrected it in time and improved the early education and quality training of the clan members. There will never be such people who forget their clan in the Yan family again. After a round of praise, the Yan and He families returned to their base camps to prepare for the next competition. The next game was between Yan Xin of the Yan family and He Yulu of the He family. When Yan Lingyu returned to his own magic circle, he saw Lin Zixin's big bald head with a bright smile on his face. What does this guy mean? Our Yan family won. Why does he look more excited than us? Yan Lingyu asked Hai Chonggang, who looked more serious. Hai Chonggang looked at the former, then at the sturdy man beside him, and replied, "Brother Lin has made a fortune," and Lin Zixin could no longer hold back, and burst into laughter, saying while laughing, "Hai Chonggang, didn't I remind you to bet on the Yan family to win? Look, I easily earned tens of thousands of spirit stones now." This way of earning spirit stones is fast. It turned out that Lin Zixin had brought all his snacks to the casino and bet on the Yan family to win. Judging from the unequal odds between the Yan and He families, Lin Zixin did make a lot of money. "Brother Lin, then you have to treat my juniors to a good meal, okay, ha ha ha." Chapter 127 Contact, Influence. The first 2 days of the competition between the Yan and He families have ended. The score between the two sides is 3-5, with the Yan family leading by 2 points. In the next match after He Yuquan and Yan Yinglian fought, He Yulu, sent by the He family, defeated Yan Xin and scored 1 point for the He family. The result of this victory was also within Yan Lingyu's expectations. After all, many of Yan Xin's methods are in the aspect of beast control, which requires the cooperation of 2 white tigers. One-on-one is not his strong point. And that He Yulu is also a rising star in Yeziao. As a girl, her reputation is close to that of her brother He Yuquan. Her Mandarin duck sword technique, flying up and down, elegant and light, is also good. Yan Xin did not lose unfairly. But in the competition on the afternoon of the second day, the He family never seized the opportunity to overtake the score. Yan Xinwen played against He Tongfang, Yan Zikang played against He Tuanqi. In 2 consecutive competitions, the Yan family members won by showing a crushing attitude. This once again broke the perception of the top leaders of other forces. Yan Xinwen is good at talismans and can skillfully apply them in actual combat. Because the Yan family secretly inherited the talisman formation of this Hanming sect, Yan Xinwen's talisman Taoism has learned from the talisman formation lineage, and its power is even stronger. Although as a competition, there is a limit on the number of talismans used, and they must be refined by the person who fights. But under these conditions, Yan Xinwen is still ready to hit his opponent accurately under the limited opportunities to attack, and finally win the game. Another younger generation of the Yan family performed even better. The practice of Yan Xingkang is the most common longevity practice. This practice is simple and gentle, without any characteristics, and there is no yellow-level Taoist practice. The disciples of ordinary forces will not practice it. Only casual practitioners with scarce resources are keen on it, because it is too mediocre. But mediocrity has its own advantages. The compatibility of the longevity practice is extremely strong, and it can practice almost all wood-based Taoist practices without rejection. Generally speaking, Yangshu type skills cannot adapt to Yinshu type Taoist skills, and vice versa. The Qian Shenguang is just in between the two, and can balance all kinds of complicated true Qi very well. Yan Zikang used this point to practice 7 Taoist skills in the Qi training period, one of which is a Zhuan level Taoist skill. These Taoist skills cover a wide range, and there is no connection between the various skills, which makes the people who fight with them overwhelmed and can't guess what the opponent will use next. Although Hitoka of the He family is also in the 9th level of Qi training, he can't resist it at all under the bombardment of Taoist skills and is defeated. Yan Zikang's method is a bit similar to the magic canon Yan Lingyu back then. One is a variety of types, and the other is a dense number. After this battle, the various forces in Yu County also had a clear understanding of the Yan family. That night, people tried to contact Yan Lingyu one after another. Some wanted to send their own disciples to the Yan family to study and pay the fees, or to communicate with each other. Some elders of the sect took a fancy to a member of the Yan family and wanted to take him as a disciple. The former is easy to discuss. After all, the Yan family, the Hai family, and the Kongtong sect are all based on this model of mutual learning and mutual promotion. As for those who want to accept disciples, Yan Lingyu's answer is to let them communicate with the younger generation in person. In his opinion, the Yan family is just a newly emerging force, not an ancient large sect, and does not have the foundation of these sects. Perhaps these talented younger generations of clansmen can still get help and guidance from the family during the Qi training period. But as their cultivation level rises, they still have to rely on themselves to explore the way forward, and even Yan Lingyu can't provide help. Therefore, Yan Lingyu does not object to letting the clan members enter other forces to practice, as long as the clan members agree to it. Moreover, these clansmen are also mature people, and Yan Renming's previous experience is impossible to happen. As for whether those forces can really teach them everything, that's another matter. At the same time, not only the forces in Yu County are making big moves, but also many forces in Sheonan County, where the Yan family is located, are paying attention to this competition. Among them, there are those who are friendly with the Yan family, and there are also those who have had conflicts with the Yan family. Although the Yan family is supported by the Princess Mansion, not all forces are afraid of it. Some forces have giant and cultivators in charge, and they are backed by Hengshui sect and Hengshui sect, so they are still qualified to speak. For example, the Kingdon sect in Liangzhou, Sheonan County. The Kingdon sect is famous for refining elixirs, and there are even alchemy masters in the sect. Its original status in Sheonan County was transcendent because it controlled the underground elixir sales channels in Sheonan County. But with the rise of the Yan family, Yan Lingyu's alchemy attainments have increased day by day. This was originally an industry monopolized by the Kingdon sect, but it was forcibly pried open by the Yan family. It is naturally not happy about this, so the two families have been in constant friction for nearly a decade. At this moment, in the Kingdon sect, which is separated from the Daniyang He family by more than 1,000,000 miles, the head of the sect, Ho Yingshen, looked at the secret letter in his hand with a serious face. He thought for a long time, and finally sighed and said to his disciples, Jinzhen, tell Shanheng, Hishan, and Mingsu Market to reduce conflicts with the Yan family as much as possible, put away their secret means, and compete head-on in the future. Yes. After the disciples retreated, Master Ho looked at the direction of the Yan family through the window of the main hall and murmured, "One Yan Lingyu is enough to torment people. How many more will the Yan family produce?" On the other side, Sheonan County, Yingzhou, Lu family. The head of the Lu family has been replaced, named Lu Daoping, who is the father of Lu Qinglin and the father-in-law of Yan Lingyu. Is this true? The head of the Lu family showed joy. Because the Yan and Lu families are on good terms, for things like Yan Hezi's competition, the Lu family will naturally receive the latest news as soon as possible. It's absolutely true. The new generation of the Yan family is full of talents, not inferior to Yan Lingyu's generation. The Yan family is really well hidden. Before, I had contact with Yan Xingguan and Yan Xinrong. These two people looked ordinary, but I didn't expect them to be geniuses. The head of the Lu family was full of emotion. Suddenly, his expression changed. It's bad. My Lu family missed the best opportunity. Easily pass my family order and prepare the valuable gifts. I will visit the Yan family and arrange a marriage for the two families. Since Yan Lingyu and Lu Qinglian got married, the Lu family really took advantage of the rise of the Yan family. In the past few decades, the Lu family has also developed rapidly, and the foundation building skills they have obtained have also increased. There are as many as 5 foundation building cultivators in the family. You know, before this, in the 400 years of the Lu family's family history, there were only 6 foundation building cultivators. You can see the grand occasion of the Lu family. Sometimes, the Lu family members themselves would sigh that they accurately grasped the opportunity. Look at the Zhang family, which was the best in Yingzhou, but at its peak it only had 3 foundation building cultivators. Now it has been reduced to ashes, and its bloodline is almost cut off. The Lu family knows that they are where they are today entirely thanks to the Yan family. They were originally satisfied with today's development, but suddenly realized that this thigh seemed to be much thicker and bigger than they had imagined. For a moment, their restless hearts burned again. Chapter 128 End. Secret Meeting. The third day of the competition, morning. Boom, a loud noise sounded in the ring, and thick smoke billowed up, as if a meteorite hit the ground, with amazing power, making people worry about the 2 clansmen competing in the arena. When the smoke dissipated, a figure gradually appeared in front of all the spectators. His body was shaking a little, his eyes were slightly closed, his whole body was in a mess, his robe was torn, and only a long sword supported him so that he could stand. But he was standing. And his opponent had fallen down and could not get up again. This meant that he had won this competition. Yan Lingyu of the Yan family won. The score was 7-3. There were only 2 competitions today. The first one was between Lin Ningling and He Wangxin. The former was at the 9th level of key training, and the latter was at the 8th level. The outcome was no suspense, with Lin Ningling winning by crushing, maintaining the winning streak for the Yan family. It is worth mentioning that Lin Ningling is the oldest person participating in this competition. In a few days, he will be 31 years old and will lose the qualification to compete. The last duel between Yan Lingyu and He Yazan was the most intense. The 2 sides spent more than an hour fighting until the sun rose to the sky. The strength of the 2 of them was indeed almost the same, and no one wanted to lose. Because as long as the Yan family won this game, they would get 5 match points. As long as the Yan family could easily win one of the subsequent foundation building competitions, the final victory would belong to the Yan family. He Yazan naturally didn't want this to happen, and he almost exhausted all his skills. If it weren't for the prohibition of using forbidden techniques, he might have started to burn his life. As both parties left the field, today's competition ended. Danliang City, Heoiyu Casino. The casino deeply reflects the different joys and sorrows of the world. At this moment, all kinds of people were shown in front of the dealer's table. Some were crazy, some were happy, some were desperate, and some wanted to die. As for the dealer, they must have eaten their fill. Because most people bet on the He family to win. So there are more miserable people, and although there are fewer winners, they seem particularly excited. Of course, there were also some who were more indifferent. Among them was a man in black robes, who lowered his head and walked out of the casino without letting anyone see his face. Then, he took 2 consecutive instant steps and disappeared on the street. It was not until he returned to the He family in Danliang Mountain that he removed his disguise. This person was Yan Lingyu. Lin Zixin could think of this kind of thing turned spiritual stones, so he could naturally think of it even more. He shook the storage bag in his hand. This time he won at least 100,000 spiritual stones. For the Yan family today, this amount of spiritual stones is also a considerable amount, which can be regarded as an unexpected gain. As for why Yan Lingyu came to bet in person, it was naturally because he didn't want his family members to participate in it. It is said that small bets are pleasant, but big bets are harmful to the body. This is also true for cultivators. What's more, if the participants in the competition are allowed to participate in the betting, it will inevitably affect their state of mind, resulting in their inability to exert their full strength. When Yan Lingyu entered the Heoiyu casino before, he saw many members of the He family. Although the other party also covered their faces, these disguises were equivalent to nothing under the former's powerful cultivation. Among them was He Yazan. It seems that his final defeat to Yan Lingyu is due to this state of mind. Putting away the heavy storage bag in his hand, Yan Lingyu followed a mountain road and climbed directly to the top of Danayang Mountain. Soon, he came to a magnificent attic. This is the He family's meeting hall. Yan Lingyu stepped forward and walked into it. There were many high-level members of the He family waiting for a long time, including the He family's giant and ancestor Jingquan Shengren, King Shu Sex Xianjiao He Tongfeng, and the head of the family He Wenyan. Fellow Taoist Yan, the people of the He family showed respect. Sorry, Yan is a step late. Although Yan Lingyu said sorry, his expression was indifferent, even a little arrogant. He found a seat and sat down. Without saying much, he directly brought out the business of today's appointment. How do you want to redeem the flying tiger? Yan Lingyu said with a smile. That's right, I came here today for this matter. The initial bet of this competition was the monsters on both sides, namely the two white-striped tigers with white tiger bloodline of the Yan family, and the Fishan Hengli tiger of the He family in the middle stage of foundation building. The origin of everything can be attributed to them. And now, the Yan family is almost certain to win. Maybe the He family has Yi Tongfeng, who can fight against Yan Lingyu, and who will win or lose in this competition is not discussed first. But the Yan family also has Qin Hainer, who is no longer able to deal with the He family. Therefore, the Fishan Hengli tiger just needs to go through the process, and it will be the property of the Yan family. But in fact, Yan Lingyu did not want to ask for this monster. The He family can improve the Fishan Hengli tiger bloodline talent through secret techniques and white-striped tigers, but the Yan family cannot. Moreover, this monster has been with the He family for hundreds of years. Even if it comes to the Yan family, it is still in Xiao Ying, but its heart is in Han. Its greatest role is to kill it and replenish the body of the body refining clan. It is better not to win than to win. But it is useless to the Yan family, but it has a very high status in the He family. Naturally, the He family does not really want it to leave. Therefore, Yan Lingyu had thought about it from the beginning. After winning this competition, he would use the flying tiger as a bargaining chip to exchange for greater benefits for the He family. He also informed the He family of this matter in advance, so the other party's top leaders would wait here specifically. My He family can take out a spiritual object equivalent to 500,000 spiritual stones. The ancestor of the He family directly stretched out 5 fingers, with heartache and determination in his voice. The tiger demon has been in the He family for 100 years, and has developed a deep affection. It is almost a relative. It also has a personal name, called Yehu. This is the land of the He family. Although Yan Lingyu dare not be too arrogant, he holds the initiative after all, and he should have his own demands. He tapped the table lightly and said with a gleam in his eyes, my Yan family is not short of spiritual stones. My Yan family will open Xianayan pavilions in Yulin City, Danayang City, and Zhengxin City. Danayang City is not to mention. Yulin City is adjacent to Yulin. The harvests of the monks in Yulin will be brought to Yulin City for spiritual transformation. The huge Yulin contains a variety of rich spiritual materials. If the Yan family can have a shop in Yulin City, they can get a lot of scarce materials. Moreover, there is a large flow of monks here. Monks from 4 or 5 counties around will come here to practice. It is a good place to get information. Zhengxin Pavilion is the only way from the southern region to the western region. There are only a few small cities between it and the neighboring Shang dynasty. The geographical location is superior, and Yan Lingyu has been coveting it for a long time. Of course, if you really want to open Xianayan pavilions in these places, it is impossible without the support of local forces. Therefore, Yan Lingyu found the He family. He came for this purpose when he took on this competition from the beginning. As Yan Lingyu finished speaking, the faces of the senior members of the He family changed. What a Yan Lingyu, what a Yan family, they are very scheming, Master Jingquan sighed. He knew that the other party had made up his mind. If he didn't agree, then he would never come back to the He family. Master Jingquan glanced at the clan members around him, and suddenly thought, how nice it would be if Yan Lingyu was born in the He family. He could also rest in peace. Danayang City is naturally no problem. My He family can let you have a shop in Yulin City, but Zhengxin City is a bit difficult. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Negotiated, Worried. In the He family meeting room, the atmosphere suddenly fell into silence, and everyone's eyes fell on Yan Lingyu. The latter bowed his head and pondered. He naturally didn't believe that the other party said it was difficult. Yu County is not like other counties. In Yu County, Yulin occupies most of the area, and other human habitats are not large. There are only 5 state cities in Yu County, and there are only 8 major forces with a right to speak, including the Princess Mansion. One of these 8 forces is the He family. In addition, it also has a relationship of friendship and vassalage, and the giant and cultivator Jinquin is just old, not dead. In fact, although the He family has been weak in recent years, it still has a certain right to speak in Yu County. It is not difficult to really place a market and a city for the Yan family. Now, the other party's words are nothing more than unwillingness, and the price is too high. The two sides need to bargain further. Yan Lingyu's choice of these 3 cities is also particular. Danyang, Yulin, and Zhengxin are distributed in the Yu County area in a triangle. As long as the Yan family is deeply rooted in these 3 cities and the clansmen rely on and support each other, the Yan family will have a firm foothold in the entire Yu County. Compared with the other 2 cities, Danyang City is equally important. It is close to the direction of Sheonan County and is the first checkpoint for the Yan family's base camp to enter this place. Only by grasping this place can the Yan family's subsequent entry into Yu County be smooth. In short, none of the 3 cities can be given up and must be grasped. Yan Lingyu tapped the handrail lightly, and then sighed with some disappointment. That's a pity. Everyone knows that the southern counties are in constant turmoil, and the 100-year beast tide is about to come. Zhengxin City is close to the western regions. I wanted to arrange a branch here. If something unexpected happens to the Yan family, it can also pass on the incense to the family. As he spoke, he sighed. Although Yan Lingyu seemed to be speaking unintentionally, the people of the He family listened with interest. After the Jinquin master, who was sitting in the first seat, communicated with the clan members through voice transmission, he suddenly said, in fact, Zhengxin City can also be fought for. Zhengxin City is under the jurisdiction of 3 forces. Because it is far away, my He family has a weak control and cannot guarantee that the development of your Zionian pavilion will not be hindered. But if your Yan family is willing to share part of the revenue with the other 2 forces, then they will turn a blind eye. Yan Lingyu just laughed in his heart at the sudden change of the He family. He knew why. Nowadays, all major forces attach great importance to the means of the Yan family to cultivate the younger generation. They don't believe that the younger generations of the Yan family are all gifted. The reason why the Yan family has so many talents must be in other aspects. The senior officials of these major forces in Yu County are eager to know this and use it for their own benefit. But the Yan family's main family is in Sheonan County, which is not their sphere of influence, and they cannot place people to investigate. If the Yan family has a branch in Yu County, this is their territory, and it is naturally easy to find out the truth. And even let their family members contact the other party. Therefore, when Yan Lingyu deliberately talked about branching out, the faces of the senior members of the He family changed significantly. Now, for this branch of the He family, they urgently need to correct the character of the younger generation and get rid of the problem of practicing the same kind of skills. The He family is the one that needs a bright road to learn the most. Of course, Yan Lingyu's doing this is equivalent to telling the other party about his own advantages. But he is not worried that this will harm his family. By the time the He family figured out the situation and developed as a result, the Yan family had already been deeply rooted in Yu County. Moreover, Yan Lingyu did not think that the other party could successfully learn the Yan family's things. Let the clan members read. This is the family rule that Yan Lingyu established after 3 generations of being a person, breaking the rules, and overcoming all objections in the Yan family. It is difficult to be replicated by others due to the concept. Just like the Hai family and Kongtong sect, which have close relations with the Yan family, they know that the Yan family let the clan members study, but they did not associate this with the rapid development of the Yan family. Perhaps this is the ideological advantage of Yan Lingyu as a time traveler. Then from now on, I'll trouble everyone in the He family to help take care of the clan members. Okay. After the business was over, and after another round of politeness, the 2 sides dispersed. Yan Lingyu came out of the meeting hall. It was already dark, but he did not choose to return to the Yan family's residence there. Instead, he sent a voice transmission to a member of the He family. Then, he was led by a figure to a dense forest. Fellow Taoist Lingyu, fellow Taoist Chuangfeng, that's right, Yan Lingyu was looking for this Hengshui sect disciple, he Chuangfeng. Fellow Taoist Chuangfeng, I want to know about the situation in the Hengshui sect. Yan Lingyu spoke and told the other party about Yan Renming's possession of the devil. I know this matter involves the secrets of your sect. You can pick out some things to tell me. If you are willing, I can admit defeat in the next competition with you. Originally, this matter was over. But recently, the Hengshui sect has been unstable. Leaders of major forces are often summoned to the Hengshui sect, and then never come back. Some of their soul lamps have been extinguished. This has caused panic among the forces in several counties near the Shiwen Mountains. And Yan Lingyu always has a hunch that the strange behavior of the Hengshui sect must be related to Yan Renming's possession of the devil. Therefore, he must at least have a general understanding. So he found He Tongfeng, and the condition he gave was to let the He family win the focused battle. Yan Lingyu did not value his reputation, and even felt that he had been too popular recently and should be suppressed. But the He family needed this very much. As soon as he said this, He Tongfeng's face became serious, and he said solemnly, "This Yan Renming is actually from your Yan family, fellow Taoist Lingyu. I am not in a high position and I don't know much. 10 years ago, all members of the Hengshui sect were tested for demonic possession. The specific situation is difficult to tell. I can only tell you that this incident caused a shock to the Yuanying ancestors. After this incident, several of the brothers and sisters in the sect have never been heard from again. At the same time, I heard that a core disciple named Cuisin is actually a demon cultivator. He has been caught and tortured by the high-level leaders of the sect, but he has not revealed any other information." He Tongfeng's words made Yan Lingyu sweat coldly. He didn't expect this matter to be so big. What the latter didn't know was that it was this person named Cuisin who instigated Yan Renming to return to the clan. Fellow Taoist Chuangfeng, do you know what the high-ranking officials from the southern counties were assigned to do after entering the Hengshui sect? He Tongfeng shook his head and replied, "I don't know. Even I didn't know about this until I returned to the clan this time. But I can tell you one thing. In recent years, many disciples and elders who have been away from home for many years have returned to the Hengshui sect." He Tongfeng kept talking. This matter also concerns him, so he has to be cautious. The two of them talked for a long time. Yan Lingyu clasped his fists and said, "Brother He, if there are other unusual situations in the Hengshui sect, please inform the Yan family and we will reward you handsomely." Then, the two left with worries. Yan Lingyu felt more and more uneasy. Chapter 130, Abnormal Situation, Wei Tribe. After the competition of key training period, Yan and He families rested for 2 days. During these 2 days, the He family reinforced the competition platform again. The power of the Taoist magic of the foundation building period cultivators is far beyond that of the key training period. In order to prevent accidents during the competition, these preparations are still necessary. After Yan Lingyu returned to the temporary residence, he passed the information of the transaction with the He family back to the clan members so that the clan leader Yan Yingzhao could arrange people in advance to carry out the work in turn. This time, it is much more difficult to let the clan members stay in Yu County than to let Yan Yinglian go far away and leave his bloodline. Yan Yinglian's branch only needs to maintain the bloodline. But the people who stay in the 3 major Yu County cities must be able to be a face, so the clan members must choose carefully, and these are left to the head of the family to decide. And Yan Lingyu still has to deal with the competition of the foundation building cultivators tomorrow. The competition match list has been released. The two sides are not decided by drawing lots, like the competition of key training period. Instead, the two families negotiate together to try to make the strength of the two sides equal. The Yan family has 3 people in the early stage of foundation building, 1 in the middle stage, and 1 in the late stage. The He family has 2 people in the early stage of foundation building, 2 in the middle stage, and 1 in the late stage. Some of them have indeed challenged the higher level. Regarding this matter, the Yan family sent Yan Lingfei. Of course, this point is equivalent to a free gift. And as the list was released, the first to take action were the major casinos. With the previous ignorant lessons, this time the foundation building competition, the number of people betting on the Yan family to win has obviously increased. Especially those who have made a lot of money from the Yan family before, their bets are even bigger. In addition, the news of the competition between the Yan and He families has also spread further. In recent days, monks from other counties have come to visit, including many giant stage monks. This competition has become an exchange meeting, and the ultimate significance of the competition has been reduced. Time passed, and the competition was going on. There were not many people watching the competition of the foundation-building monks, just a clansman of the Yan and He families, and some monks with high credibility. This has already involved the high-level power of the two families, and it is impossible to expose it to others easily. Especially those giant cultivators. With their abilities, it is easy to see the trump cards and skills of the foundation-building cultivators. If they have sinister intentions, it is entirely possible to target them. Although there are fewer spectators in the competition, the fight is more intense. The roar of the collision of spells can be heard from more than 10 miles away. In the end, except for the focused battle between Yan Lingyu and He Tongfeng, all other competitions are over. The Yan family did not show the dominance they showed in the key training competition. In the end, they only won one of the 4 games, and it was King Hanner who won. The strength of the Yan family's foundation-building cultivators is indeed a bit mediocre. This is understandable. When these 7th-generation clansmen were young, the Yan family was not as prosperous as it is today. Except for Yan Lingyu who practiced in the body, Lingfa and Lingsu still took the traditional route. Their foundation was too poor, which also led to them being slightly weaker than other cultivators of the same level in the foundation-building stage. Although the overall strength of the 7th generation of the Yan family is not strong, it still won the admiration of the He family and others. Because it is because of this generation that, under originally difficult conditions, the Yan family has been brought uphill. In the eyes of the He family, this generation is more worthy of respect. 5 competitions are held in one day, and at this moment Yan Lingyu is silently waiting for the arrival of his match. However, what he did not expect was that he and He Tongfeng would not meet on the ring next. The opponent had appeared in front of him before, in the Hufa formation where the Yan family was. Yan Lingyu saw the other party's solemn face, and his heart trembled. Knowing that there was something important, he dispersed the clansmen behind him and waited for the other party to speak. He Tongfeng transmitted the voice, "I'm sorry, fellow Taoist Lingyu, my He family loses this competition." The former's heart moved. Why did the other party suddenly admit defeat? Yan Lingyu asked doubtfully, "Did something happen?" Hengshui sect, the other party nodded. The sect is urgently recruiting people back to the sect, and they are of the highest level. As a disciple of the sect, I dare not disobey. If I really compete with fellow Taoists, I will inevitably consume my true energy and even get injured, which will affect the speed of returning to the rescue. Now, the matter between the Yan and He families has ended when King Hanner won. The competition between Yan Lingyu and He Tongfeng is just a formality. Yan Lingyu's pupils shrank slightly. About that matter, he thought of the matter of possessed by demons that he talked about with the other party a few days ago. The Hengshui sect was so upset that something went wrong in this matter. He Tongfeng looked very solemn, and whispered, although the sect did not mention it in the message, according to my guess, it is almost certain. He added, not only that, my He family also received a dispatch and needed to send a foundation-building cultivator to the Hengshui sect. Even you are being recruited. Yan Lingyu was a little surprised. Combined with the fact that the senior officials of Xiaonan County were summoned collectively before, the Hengshui sect's move will make a big splash. The smile that Yan Lingyu often wore on his face had long been restrained. He clasped his fists and thanked He Tongfeng, saying, "Thank you, fellow Taoist Tongfeng, for telling me about this. This will be of great use to my Yan family. Maybe it won't be long before it's the Yan family's turn, so we can prepare in advance. Also, just like the deal we made before, this competition is still considered a loss for my Yan family." He Tongfeng nodded and turned to leave. Yan Lingyu pondered for a long time until Hai Chongyang and Lin Zixin came over to ask questions. He told the latter two all the information. Hai Lin and the others were also shocked. They knew little before, so when they first learned about it, they naturally had a lot of imagination. At the same time, they also noticed the He family's behavior as if they were facing a great enemy, and they were instantly convinced. "Brother Yan, how do you think we should deal with this matter?" Yan Lingyu pondered for a while, shook his head helplessly and said, "I guess the Hengshui sect wants to wipe out the hidden demon cultivators. If we get involved, we will have to face the strange demon cultivators face to face, which is extremely dangerous, but the Hengshui sect is powerful. If they really want to force us to recruit people, we small families and sects can't refuse at all. A large sect like the Hengshui sect has a delicate balance with Daqian. Although the Yan family has power in Dekian, the Hengshui sect also has a certain say. For example, conscription is a common thing. You are right. If it does not involve the survival of the power, the Dekian officials will not intervene. Brother Yan, since this matter is over, let's go back to the clan as soon as possible. Yes, so, the last competition between the Yan family and the He family ended hastily with the Yan family admitting defeat. But in the end, the Yan family had a higher score and won the total score. While the top leaders of other forces were wondering why they were so careless, the Yan family's team to return to the clan had already assembled. Yan Lingyu asked Yan Lingsu and Yan Xin to stay and continue to talk with them about entering Xianyan Pavilion. He personally led the team to rush to the family. On the way back, he received several messages. The Hengshui sect's password had been passed to the Yan family. Not only them, but also the Hai family and Kongtong sect received the dispatch. Chapter 131, Forced Recruitment, Yan Family Plan. When Yan Lingyu arrived at Kaishuling, he only saw the solemn faces of Liu Yuxi, the head of the Yan family, and other senior officials. Then, they held a clan meeting without stopping to discuss specific matters. The message was not clear, so the head of the family, Yan Yingzhao, explained it again to the clan members who had just returned. Hengshui sect has started recruiting, in the name of exorcism. The 7 counties in the south, a total of 137 forces, must send 2 foundation-building monks, one of whom must be the strongest foundation-building monk in the force, but the content of the recruitment has not been notified. It is said that they will let someone know after the people sent arrive at Hengshui sect. Yan Yingzhao's tone was a little vicissitudes, and he kept staring at Yan Lingyu. The latter smiled faintly. Did Hengshui sect name you? Yes, Lingyu, you must be on this list, Yan Yingzhao sighed and said. The specifics of this recruitment are unknown, but it is very dangerous. The head of the family does not want the current pillar of the Yan family to take this risk. If there is no special name, then it can be operated secretly. Master, do you know if the Hai family and Kongtong sect have also called out names? Yan Yingzhao replied, the Kongtong sect's name is Elder Zan Hongyu, and the Hai family's name is Hai Zai Ocean. If Hai Jiangyang was not a disciple of this Hengyi sect, it might be Hai Jiangyang who went. After hearing this, Yan Lingyu lowered his head. Since everyone is like this, there is nothing to say. The Hengshui sect's call cannot be disobeyed. The one who came to the Yan family to deliver the message was a late Jinden cultivator, who had already issued a warning in secret. If they want to disobey, the other party can easily destroy the Yan family by sending anyone at random. Yan Lingyu just felt a little pity for taking risks. The probability of cultivating a golden elixir in this life is still very high, but maybe he will be reincarnated halfway. He must go, because the Yan family now has 2 late foundation building cultivators, one is him, and the other is Liu Yuxi. If he doesn't go, then Liu Yuxi will go. As for this disciple, Yan Lingyu still wants him to spend his old age in peace. At the same time, he unconsciously had another question in his mind. Why are all the recruits foundation-building cultivators? To be honest, these young foundation-building cultivators can only take a breath in front of the nascent soul stage. If they want to eliminate demons, shouldn't the big guys take action? I think there is another hidden reason, and this reason will greatly increase the degree of danger encountered by the recruited cultivators. Yan Lingyu pondered for a while, and said with a smile, it's good for me to go out. I am stronger and can protect myself. Maybe it is very dangerous for ordinary foundation-building cultivators, but it is indeed a piece of cake for me. He didn't want the family to worry too much, so he spoke to comfort everyone. But he knew in his heart that Yan Lingyu's strength was not as strong as imagined. If he looked at the entire group of foundation-building cultivators, he stood out because he was young. He was less than 50 years old. There were few opponents among his peers. But the lifespan of foundation-building cultivators is a full 200 years. Some old guys have been polishing in the foundation-building realm for an unknown period of time. And their strength can even deal with giant cultivators. Therefore, Yan Lingyu is really likely to die. By the way, have you decided on the other foundation-building cultivator? Each faction sent 2 people, one of whom was the strongest, and the other could be any foundation-building cultivator. It was obvious that the Hengshui sect had let them off and brought in a filler. But this was for such a large faction. For a small faction like the Yan family, every foundation-building cultivator was very important and had to be considered carefully. Yan Yingzhao replied, "It was my 8th uncle. You volunteered, and we, the younger generation, couldn't argue with him. Yan Yingzhao's eighth uncle was Yan Lingyu's eighth grandfather, Yan Jichuan. Yan Jichuan had fought in the Dacian imperial army for many years. Although he had broken through the foundation building stage, he was also left with injuries and illnesses. His cultivation was stuck in the early stage of the foundation building stage and could no longer advance. Later, his son Yan Yinglian performed outstandingly and became a centurion. He inherited his mantle, and he could also retire peacefully and return to the Yan family mansion to help train the younger generation of the Yan family. Now there are not many people left in the Yan family with a character Ji, only Yan Jidao, Yan Jishin, and Yan Jichuan. At this moment, the eighth master Yan Jichuan was also in the meeting hall. Yan Lingyu turned around and happened to meet his sight. Yan Jichuan said in a full voice, "What? Are you afraid that I will hold you back? How dare Lingyu?" So, this matter was settled. Then, the meeting entered the next topic. That is the future plan of the Yan family. This matter did not need to be discussed so urgently, but Yan Lingyu was going to leave soon, and there were a lot of things to do in Yu County, so at his request, the meeting was extended. At the same time, he also had to make some arrangements in case something happened to him. Yan Lingyu said, "The family's academic rules need to be improved. You have also seen the benefits of studying. It has indeed brought great positive changes to the family, so the supervision of education must continue. I care about this matter. There are some great scholars in the Central Plains who are not valued because they are mortals. We can invite them to the Yan family. I believe that the Immortal family will give them some face if they invite them," Yan Yingzhan said as soon as the former finished speaking. "Uncle, you will help with this matter. By the way, how is the development of the branch in Qingling County?" Yan Lingyu said. "We are still in contact, but Yinglian seems to have hit a bottleneck recently and has encountered obstacles. Then send a foundation building cultivator to help. The Yan family still attaches great importance to this branch. It is the bridgehead for the Yan family to enter the Central Plains in the future and must be developed. This is even more true for Yan Lingyu. He doesn't know where he will be reincarnated in the future, and it is possible that he will be born in that branch, so he must give support." Then, Yan Lingyu summarized the affairs of Yu County again and said, "The problems of Yu County cannot be ignored. There are a variety of spiritual materials there. It can be said that it provides a steady supply of materials for the family's alchemy and is the pillar of the Yan family's future development. Therefore, the clansmen sent there must be meticulous, courageous and strategic." This important task finally fell on Yan Lingcheng. Yan Lingcheng is Yan Lingyu's 12th sister. Although she is a woman and has not built a foundation, she has learned to manage Xianayan Pavilion since she was a child. She is very good at dealing with such transactions and is a person who can take responsibility. Finally, we must pay close attention to the beast tide. The destruction of Black Mountain City last time must not happen again, Yan Lingyu said earnestly at the end of the meeting. Every 100 years, the southern counties will experience the baptism of the beast tide. Although there are Dacian imperial guards on the front line to resist pressure, some parts will always be missed. Yan Lingyu does not want his family to repeat the same mistakes. Therefore, although the Yan family is developing well now and there are many foundation-building cultivators, ordinary beast tides are unlikely to cause danger, but they still need to be emphasized. At this meeting, 7 major items were discussed, and other minor matters were not mentioned much. The meeting ended one day later. Chapter 132 Couple, Prepare. When Yan Lingyu came out of the meeting hall, it was already late at night. He did not immediately retreat to his own residence, but also strolled throughout the mansion. The moon was bright in the sky, the autumn wind was howling, and the trees were rustling. The Yan family was particularly quiet today. Walking into the house, Yan Lingyu saw a beautiful woman sitting in the main hall. The other party looked a little lonely and cold, until she saw the former. She showed a moving smile. "Heiner," Yan Lingyu called softly. He knew that his wife had learned about his conscription. Looking at this partner who had been together for more than 20 years, his original indifferent expression had collapsed. He came to sit next to Qin Heiner. He asked softly, "Where's Wei Wei?" "She's asleep." "Where's Zinun?" "He went to the back mountain to practice." "Yeah." There was a sudden silence between the couple, and they just looked at each other. Suddenly, Yan Lingyu rubbed the woman into his arms and said gently, "Don't worry, I will be fine. In the dangerous environment of the time and space gap, I was able to escape and inherit the clan for the family. Your husband is blessed by heaven and will be rich and noble for life until he lives forever." He felt a beauty in his arms tremble slightly, and a delicate voice rang out, "I believe you." In fact, after Qin Hanner learned about this, she went to her father, Qin's Henge, Princess Qin, and wanted to use the power of the Daqian official to get the Yan family out of this matter. Unfortunately, it failed. The Hengshui sect stood on the righteousness of exorcism, and even the Daqian royal family had to provide assistance. Even the Xiaonan Princess Mansion sent 2 foundation-building monks to reinforce. Since the matter is not violated, we can only pray that the people of the Yan family can return safely. Qin Hanner stretched out her jade hand and handed out a storage bag. "What is this?" "This is a low-grade magic weapon, the Blackwater Blue Scale Shield, for you to use for self-defense." Yan Lingyu looked at his wife's determined eyes and knew that he had to accept this item. The highest level item on him now is the Qingming sword. Because of the nourishment of Mingli's scabbard and the subsequent refining by someone else, the Qingming sword has been reborn, evolving from a medium-grade spiritual weapon to a high-grade spiritual weapon. But even so, its value is not worth 1/10 of the Blackwater Blue Scale Shield. Yan Lingyu knew that Qin Hanner was able to get this item, so she must have returned to her parents' home to find the Qin County Lord. Taking the storage bag, Yan Lingyu smiled and said, "I swear I will always protect you." Yes, Qin Hanner seemed to have returned to the appearance of a young girl who had just begun to fall in love. Her face was red, and she leaned slightly on Yan Lingyu's broad chest. Looking at the other party's delicate and lovely appearance, like a ripe fruit, Yan Lingyu's heart was moved for a moment. He stood up with the beauty in his arms and walked towards the bedroom. The next day, a training room in the Yan family. Yan Lingyu sat cross-legged with the various spiritual objects in front of him. Since he had been called up, he had to prepare in advance. Although Yan Lingyu had the ability to reincarnate, he didn't want to die for no reason. "I won't take this batch of spiritual materials with me. I won't have time to make pills there. If I really have an accident and lose these spiritual objects, it will be a disaster. I'd better leave them in the clan and have someone keep them." Yan Lingyu put a series of special spiritual materials into a special storage bag. Because his other identity is the alchemy master in the clan, he personally made pills such as the foundation building pill, the foundation laying pill, and the key recovering pill, so he has kept many precious spiritual materials around him all year round, even the water of the divine spirit. When all the debris was removed, Yan Lingyu only had pills to restore mana and recover from injuries, and there were quite a few of them. Maybe when he arrived at the Hengshui sect, the other party would distribute a batch of spiritual objects, but he still had to carry some with him in case of emergency. Then, he shifted his gaze to a small black shield in front of him. It was the Blackwater Blue Scale Shield sent by Qin Hanner. When he picked it up, a chill swept through his arm and his whole body, as if in a breath. His defense was improved before the magic weapon was activated. This is the power of the magic weapon. A magic weapon cannot be taken down in the market without hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. Moreover, such high-level artifacts are always hard to come by, and Yan Lingyu has only heard of them occasionally. The preciousness of this thing made him hesitate whether to take it with him. Turning his head and thinking about it, if it was left at home, it would be covered with dust. Even he would find it difficult to fully refine this magic weapon, let alone other tribesmen. Maybe Qin Hanner would have to cultivate to the peak of foundation building before it could exert some of its power. So in the end, he made up his mind and put the Blackwater Blue Scale Shield into the storage bag close to his body. Then, Yan Lingyu took out a mountain and river painting ink umbrella. This spiritual weapon that has been with him for many years is no longer helpful to him. It will even become a burden when fighting with masters. But it must be said that this spiritual umbrella is also the top batch among the lower grade spiritual weapons, almost reaching the level of middle grade spiritual weapons. Although he can't use it, he can still pass it on to other members of the Yan family for self-defense. After excluding the Shanhuamo umbrella, Yan Lingyu still has 3 spiritual weapons, the Sanlian Qingming sword, the Mingli sword sheath, and a string of middle-grade spiritual weapons Xiannian pearls. Xiannian pearl was purchased by Yan Lingyu a few years ago. It is a defensive spiritual weapon. Although it has the same function as the Blackwater Blue Scale Shield, the latter cannot be used frequently, and no one will worry about having too many defensive means. Now, he has both offensive and defensive spiritual weapons, and he has also cultivated the high-grade Zhuan-level footwork floating clouds and flowing water. It can be said that he can attack and retreat. Unless he encounters force majeure, his chances of survival are still very high. After sorting out all the spiritual objects, Yan Lingyu held his breath and concentrated, and the spiritual energy flowed in his body. He would practice the Taoist arts he had mastered every day, so-called reviewing the old to learn the new. Hengshui and the origin of the spirit body, the two Taoist arts that came with the Zhuangzi Shui Mianju, were the most proficient and the most important ones for him. As Yan Lingyu's cultivation increased, their power also increased, which was very helpful. Then came the hidden flow spirit finger, a killer move. Although it was only a low-grade Zhuan-level Taoist art, it was unexpectedly able to cooperate with Hengshui Yinli, greatly improving both its concealment and power. With the blessing of the Hengshui spirit body, the actual effect was close to that of the high-grade Zhuan-level Taoist art, which could pose a fatal threat to the late stage of foundation building. In addition, Yan Lingyu also restudied the two Taoist arts left over from his previous life, the stepping river art and the blue lotus sword art, and incorporated a little of his own ideas. The blue lotus sword art and the three lotus kingming sword complemented each other and were his strongest frontal killing means now. In terms of auxiliary attack, Yan Lingyu also had the heart Dao seal formation. After so many years of study, and with Yan Lingyu and Qin Ran's dedicated teaching, he finally mastered the other 4 Dao seals besides the water heart Dao seal, and can use the 5 heart Dao formation with good functionality, which can be used for detection, treatment, defense, and warning. The last is the Dao art of the soul. In order to match his increasingly powerful soul, Yan Lingyu specially purchased a set of soul Dao art from the Hai family, named Zuanmingtong, which has the ability to directly attack the soul and temporarily imprison others. He used this Zuanmingtong to save Hiyuk before. Recently, in order to prevent typhoons, the update will be irregular, but try to keep it at 4,000 per day. Sorry. Chapter 133 Events, Explanation. At night. There is no moon tonight, and the sky is pitch black. Yan Lingyu opened the door, left a letter, and left home. When they arrived at the gate of Keishiling Mountain, the 8th Master Yan Jichuan was already waiting there, his old and strong body standing in the night. After the two greeted each other, they fled into the air. Before this, Yan Lingyu had sent a message to He Tongfeng, hoping to meet him when he arrived at Hengshui sect. Now, the only Yan family who has some relationship with Hengshui sect is the He family, and the specific situation still needs to be inquired from the other party. Even if Hengshui sect will explain this matter later, it is only one-sided words from others, and it is impossible to believe it. In Yan Lingyu's opinion, the Hengshui sect may not be so kind and really take exorcising evil spirits as their responsibility. The two Yan family members went all the way north, not directly to the direction of the 10,000 mountains where Hengshui sect is located, but to the Princess Mansion, which is where everyone gathered. After all, they were only in the foundation building stage, and Cheonan County was a million miles away from the upper sect. If they really flew by themselves, it would take at least 10 days or half a month. If they were delayed, all the dishes would be cold. So they gathered together and were led by the elders of Hengshui sect. The meeting place was a remote tea house. When the two Yan family members arrived, there were already quite a few people sitting there. Most of them were monks from Cheonan County that Yan Lingyu was familiar with. Hengshui Ocean, the ancestor of the Hai family, was naturally among them, as well as his clan member Hai Jianghuan. As for the fellow Taoists from Kongtong sect, they were not here, and they were probably still on the way. Each force had its own situation, and those who came were all high-level people. Many clan or sect affairs had to be explained in advance, because Hengshui sect did not give a specific deadline for conscription, and with previous experience, most people were arranged according to the situation that they could not come back. Among all the people, 2 old men with crane crowns were the most conspicuous. They wore the dark blue Taoist robes of Hengshui sect, had a cold face, and exuded a condensed true energy all over their bodies, which made people dare not stare at them. They just closed their eyes and rested their spirits. The majesty emanating from them made the other cultivators present dare not breathe. Yan Lingyu guessed that these 2 people were at least in the late Jinden stage, or even Yuanying stage. The 2 Yan family members found a seat near the Hai family and sat down. At this moment, Hengshui Ocean also saw the former. He was surprised at first, then suddenly realized, with some regret in his eyes. Another 2 hours passed. After everyone arrived, the 2 Hengshui sect cultivators finally opened their eyes. They were not in a hurry to take people away. The black-haired old man said, The Taoist name is King, and the one next to him is Baikyu's Henrun. Next, I will explain the specific situation of this matter. You should listen carefully. I will only tell you once. This is not only related to your lives, but also to the entire human race. Yan Lingyu sneered at this. This statement is nothing more than Hengshui sect flattering itself. If the impact is really so great, the first to be unable to sit still must be the Dacian royal family. Although he thought so in his heart, he did not dare to show any emotion on his face. The other party was a real person, that is, a Yuanying cultivator. He could not afford to provoke him at all, so he could only listen quietly. The others also looked so obedient. Today, my Hengshui sect discovered a demon cultivator named Kuizin. He was at the peak of foundation building but had the strength of the early stage of Jinden. Following the investigation, we found his lair and captured many demon cultivators, but the real owner Kuizin ran away. We suspect that there is a bigger demon behind Kuizin to help cover him up, and this boy's identity in the demon world must be extraordinary, and he must know many secrets of the demon world. The other party's words made Yan Lingyu frown slightly, because this was obviously different from what he had heard from He Tongfen. Kuizin was a member of the Hengshui sect then. Yan Lingyu thought about it, combined the words of both sides, and roughly distinguished the real situation. Kuizin was a demon cultivator who infiltrated the Hengshui sect and bewitched many members of the Hengshui sect to become demons, but his identity was exposed because of Yan Renming. In fact, he might have been captured by the Hengshui sect a few years ago. In this case, the latter naturally tortured and used various secret techniques to try to get more information from Kuizin. But judging from the information obtained from He Tongfeng, the effect was minimal. Moreover, this Kuizin ran away. Being able to escape from Hengshui sect, it must be that the high-level officials of Hengshui sect are not clean. So this is also what they are anxious about. Their upper-level figures have been corrupted, which is not easy to investigate. They can only pin their hopes on Kuizin, so the latter must be caught. After Yan Lingyu figured out the situation, she felt that the matter was even more dangerous. At the same time, she was glad that she had found He Tongfeng to learn about it before. Although Kuizin ran away, we put a tracker on him. Unless he dies, it will not be removed, and the tracker shows that he is now in the depths of the 10,000 mountains, a place called Langaia's secret realm. However, now that the 100-year beast tide is approaching, the human and demon races are at their most sensitive stage. If our Jinden Yuanying rashly intrude, it will cause a fight between the two races, and we can't stay there for too long, so we can only send you there. On this Zuanai continent, the human race is not at the top, it is also a link in the food chain. And the matter of demon cultivation has nothing to do with demon beasts. After all, eating human beings alive for sacrifice is nothing more normal in the eyes of the demon race. Therefore, this also eliminates the possibility of Hengshui sect wanting to negotiate. They can only send low-level cultivators to explore. But Hengshui sect's approach is too immoral. They have to face demon cultivation and deal with possible demon beasts. The degree of danger can be imagined. Yan Lingyu and Yan Jichuan looked at each other and could see the bitterness in each other's eyes. They now understood why so many foundation-building monks were recruited at once, and the strongest were forced to join. Some of them were cannon fodder. As if sensing the change in the atmosphere, the King Immortal flipped his hand and pushed out a storage bag, and said loudly, "This matter is not as dangerous as you imagined. You only need to confirm the situation in the secret realm, find Kuizin's specific location, and capture him. The captured person can obtain the supreme treasure sent by the Hengshui sect, and other participating monks will also receive rich rewards. This storage bag contains an earth-level bone-renewing regeneration pill, an earth-level black blood jade marrow pill, and a top-level Zhuan-level spiritual weapon called the 1,000 Miles Soul-Chasing Shuttle. This spiritual weapon can assist in exploration and escape, and can increase your escape speed and ability to survive. Everyone, please refine the spiritual weapon first. I happen to be your guardian at this moment." The last tone of the King Immortal was a little cold, which made people shudder. Yan Lingyu opened the storage bag, and there were indeed these 3 spiritual objects. But his mood was even worse. Let's not talk about the 2 pills for now. This so-called 1,000-mile soul-chasing shuttle is obviously not a normal spiritual weapon. I'm afraid this soul-chasing shuttle is not chasing the souls of others, but the souls of the people who are refining. Hengshui sect can observe the situation of these foundation-building cultivators through this thing. If someone does not do his job properly and is attacked by the spiritual weapon, it's okay. But it would be terrifying if his force is destroyed. Except for a few idiots who didn't understand King Shusek's idea and refined it with a smile, the others were more or less resistant, waiting for which brave man to speak first. However, the domineering King Shusek didn't care about everyone's thoughts. A spiritual pressure unique to Yuanying cultivators was imposed on everyone. Chapter 134 Pressure, Compromise. An invisible yet tangible sense of importance suddenly appeared on Yan Lingyu. For a moment, he felt as if all his functions were paralyzed and he could not move. Not only that, the strong sense of fear that rose from the bottom of his heart filled his heart and could not be shaken off. Death? At this moment, he only felt these two words. Fortunately, this sense of oppression came and went quickly. The foundation building monks looked at the two old men in front of them with fear, and they were horrified. They dared not hesitate anymore, and chose to sacrifice and bind the soul-chasing spiritual weapon. Not only them, in fact, even the dozens of people who had already refined before also found the warning of the two Yuanying monks, and all of them lowered their heads, not knowing what they were thinking. In the face of absolute strength, King Shusek was not afraid of any resistance from you. Yan Lingyu injected his true energy into the Qianli soul-chasing shuttle. In an instant, his heart was shocked. He felt a strange feeling on his soul, as if a moth bit his soul, and the key was that he could not grasp its specific location. Therefore, it is extremely difficult to remove it. Souls cannot be used randomly to eliminate tracking. Otherwise, the device may be removed in the end, and you will become a useless person because of the damage to your soul. At this point, Yan Lingyu could only smile bitterly in his heart. Others are the butchers and I am the meat. It's still not strong enough. The pride he had in his heart because of his recent improvement in cultivation was gone. The two real people smiled only after seeing that all the cultivators present were bound with spiritual tools. True Man King spoke again. His voice was a little softer. The old guys naturally understood the principle of one stick and one date. You don't have to be depressed. The scope of the Langaya secret realm is very large, and you may not encounter the demon cultivator. In the secret realm, there are all kinds of spiritual objects of heaven and earth. There are thousands of years of spiritual materials everywhere, and there are even many kinds of evil spirits, and even low-level and even heaven-level evil spirits. My King Shu sect can promise that everything you get in the secret realm will not be confiscated by my sect, but True Man King changed the subject, his face suddenly solemn, and said, but if it is found that you are not focusing on finding the demon cultivator, don't blame my sect for being vicious. Everyone was startled, but they were more or less excited in their hearts. Not to mention the heaven-level spirit evil, the earth-level spirit evil is something that can only be encountered by chance. At least half of the cultivators present were in the late stage of foundation building. They are only one step away from the golden elixir stage, and some people can even try to break through on the spot once they get the right evil spirit. Therefore, this secret realm is not only dangerous, but also extremely tempting. This has made many cultivators' attitudes towards King Shu sect improve a lot. Yan Lingyu's eyes flickered. He naturally also longed for better evil spirits, which meant a better foundation and a longer way to go in the future. The spiritual objects in this secret realm may not be a big deal for King Shu sect, but for these small families and sects, it is indeed difficult to refuse. But he also understood one thing in his heart. That opportunities and dangers always coexist. The two real people didn't tell the truth, and it seems that the Langaya secret realm is also an extremely dangerous place. Even the degree of danger is still in the demon cultivator with the strength of the golden core stage. The King Shu sect summoned so many cultivators at once, most likely because of this. What they did was to cast a wide net to increase the success rate. Yan Lingyu closed his eyes slightly and continued to listen to the other party's next words. King Zhenren nodded with great satisfaction and continued, the situation of Cuisine is somewhat special. He practices the ancient magic book, the magic of the 7 emotions and 6 desires, which can use human desires to seduce people's hearts. Unless the people are strong in spirit and determined, other cultivators are easily affected by it and their minds change, so, each of you forces should send 2 people to supervise each other and remind them in time when their companions show abnormalities. This will prevent them from being possessed by the devil. The other party's words finally revealed why 2 people must be sent, even if the other one can be chosen at will. It turned out to be because of this. Come to think of it, the other party is powerful and has this skill that can seduce people. If he is alone, He will be like Yan Renming, and it is unclear when he will be possessed. Yuan Ying's words also indirectly told all the foundation-building cultivators to worry about strangers, especially those who are alone. Because this matter is of great importance, our Hengshui sect has made an exception. Whoever finds the demon first will receive more resources from our sect and will be eligible to join the sect as a disciple. King Henren's words shocked everyone again. Their eyes sparkled and they were excited. These were resources from the upper sect. If they revealed a little, ordinary families would enjoy the benefits for 10,000 years. Moreover, the qualification to join the sect was something that all the forces could only dream of. This move by Hengshui sect once again aroused everyone's enthusiasm. The man continued, "This time, not only will you small sects and small sects go, this matter concerns the entire southern cultivation world, and it was initiated by our sect, so our sect disciples will naturally take action, and they are all talented, but after all, we don't have enough manpower, so we ask you to help." After this, I don't know whether they were really convinced or arranged in advance, someone immediately shouted, "So that's it, Hengshui sect is noble and righteous. If the demonic way spreads, we will be the first to be convicted, and basically there will be no threat to the upper sect. The upper sect is willing to take action with the great righteousness. How can we not follow?" Now, after several words, the thoughts of this group of cultivators have been suddenly changed. From being coerced by Hengshui sect, to working for it, and finally to fighting for their own future. It can only be said that the big sect is worthy of being a big sect. If Yan Lingyu had not guessed the truth of the matter and seen the other party's true nature. Otherwise, it is really possible to be kept in the dark by this chain of schemes and really think that the other party is for the benefit of everyone. In a sense, this is more terrifying than the devil cultivation. But what does it matter if you know the truth? The world of immortal cultivation still speaks with fists. Then there is no time to lose. I will send you to the 100,000 great mountains. True Man King took out a golden boat, about the size of a palm. Then everyone followed him to the outside of the tea house. True Man waved his arm, and the boat rose out of thin air, emitting dazzling light while constantly expanding. In an instant, it turned into a huge monster, covering the sky. True Man King took all the cultivators into the flying treasure boat and said, "Because the human race can only enter the outer periphery of the 100,000 great mountains, there are still more than 100,000 miles between the place where the treasure boat docks and the Langaya secret realm. You have to go this distance by yourselves. In order not to be noticed by high-level monsters because of the large target, you will go in batches. You must be careful in the monster territory." Yan Lingyu observed the surrounding environment, and the magnificent voice of True Man Yuanying was in his ears. He felt like he was in a prison. He wanted to send a message to the outside, but found that he could no longer do it. The surrounding restrictions prevented all substances from entering or leaving unless they were allowed by the real person. This also made Yan Lingyu put aside other thoughts in his mind, and he and 8th Grandpa sighed secretly. I wonder if fellow Taoist he will enter the Langaya secret realm. This thought suddenly popped up in his mind. People like him are likely to be used as cannon fodder by the Hengshui sect, and may be sent to the most dangerous place to explore the way. If he can find a disciple of the Hengshui sect and be with him, the hope of survival will be much greater. Chapter 135, Dense Forest, Arrival. Time passed, and 2 days had passed since Yan Lingyu left Qianshiling. The first day was the time to hurry on. As expected of the high-level flying boat of Hengshui sect, it took only 1 day to cross 1,000,000 miles and reach the edge of Shiwen Mountain. They did not go to Hengshui sect, but went directly to the depths of Shiwen Mountain. The second day was the time for the monks to enter in batches. Hengshui sect was looking for cannon fodder, so it was naturally impossible to let these foundation-building monks enter the secret realm together. Such a group only increased the latter's chance of survival, but greatly slowed down their search progress. Now, there were only a few people left on the flying boat, and Yan Lingyu and the 8th Master Yan Jichuan were still waiting here. In this case, facing the upcoming unknown, it is inevitable to be nervous. All they can do is to adjust their mentality and maintain their physical condition at the best. Yan Lingyu, Yan Jichuan, a gentle voice came into the ears of the two. This shocked them and they secretly said, "Finally here. The juniors are here." The two came in front of King Henren with a humble look. The other party didn't say much, and the next moment, they were teleported outside the flying boat. Yan Lingyu felt that his whole body was wrapped by a huge force, and the whole person was ejected like a cannonball. The scenery in his eyes changed in various ways, and those birds passed by him. If he hadn't been prepared and summoned the 3 lotus blue sword to protect his body, otherwise, because of this demon beast that was blatantly flying and thundering, it would definitely pose a threat to them. With this momentum, they saved a lot of distance, which was relatively safe. No matter how good the sky is, there are not as many demon beasts as on the ground. However, the place where the 2 Yan family members landed was not perfect. Boom, the 2 landed. Yan Jichuan was only in the early stage of foundation building, and he was still a little uncomfortable. But they didn't dare to stop. The moment they touched the ground, they took out the phantom clothes they had prepared in advance, put them on, and hid their bodies. Looking around, they were now in a large open space, surrounded by only a few small mounds and a few dead trees. There were cold eyes staring at them from a distance, which made the 2 of them feel uneasy. "8th Master, let's leave here first and go to the woods in front," Yan Lingyu said. "The phantom bodysuit is just an ordinary spiritual weapon, and it is unrealistic to use it. We still have to find a place to hide first." Yan Lingyu released his spiritual sense to detect the surroundings, and took Yan Jichuan with him. Step on the floating clouds and flowing water, urged the Hengshui spirit body, and the spirit body source flow instantly accelerated the movement speed, and went to the dense forest. What was left behind were all kinds of roars. On the way, they killed 2 unknown monsters that blocked the way, and finally entered the dense forest safely. In this way, at least there is no need to worry about the prying of the sky and the monsters in the distance. Moreover, the complex environment and various vegetation in the dense forest can also block the vision and smell of the 2. Monsters are not like human cultivators, who have powerful spiritual consciousness that can be released. They rely more on the 5 senses. After Yan Lingyu breathed a sigh of relief, he took out another piece of parchment. The parchment is a map, which marks most of the surrounding terrain. And there is also an introduction to the Langaya secret realm on it. This reminds Yan Lingyu of the high-ranking officials of various sects who were pulled away by the Hengshui sect a long time ago. They must have been called to explore the way. And their results can be imagined. Most of them are difficult to survive. I don't know how much blood is stained on this map in my hand. But at this moment, the 2 can't think too much. After confirming their direction, Yan Lingyu and Yan Jichuan looked at each other and continued to run straight ahead. The Shiwan Mountains are indeed rich in products. There are many rare treasures in this unknown dense forest alone. But Yan Lingyu and the others have only one goal, which is to quickly rush to the Langaya secret realm. Yan Lingyu's consciousness was always exploring, trying to avoid all dangers and try to find other human colleagues as much as possible. It is worth mentioning that humans are not a delicacy for monsters. Because human cultivators are generally intelligent and powerful, and the key is that they don't have much meat on their bodies, which is not liked by monsters. Of course, this is only for those monsters with low intelligence. Monsters will not begin to transform until they reach the Golden Core realm and gradually improve their intelligence. This is also the reason why the 2 Yan family members did not encounter any danger along the way. Suddenly, Yan Lingyu, who was walking, suddenly felt a stir in his heart. He felt a familiar breath. "Hi family," he showed a happy look on his face. It is naturally great to meet someone familiar in such a place. Slightly adjust the direction, take Yan Jichuan, and rush towards the vague direction together. But after a few steps, Yan Lingyu vaguely felt that something was wrong. The other party did not respond, and the breath was dissipating quickly. Just as he was still hesitating in his heart, a scene suddenly appeared in front of him, which made him feel cold. Through the woods, it can be detected that there is a small pond not far ahead. The pond was filled with rich spiritual energy, and in the center was a red lotus with a pleasant fragrance. There were obvious signs of fighting around the pond. King's He Soul Shooting Lotus. Yan Lingyu recognized this strange object at the first time. This lotus has an incomparable temptation to those with strong souls. Next to the King's He Soul Shooting Lotus, there was a half-body floating. The head was missing, but it can still be seen from the clothes that it was a member of the High family. Hai's ocean would be stronger, and this body was his. Even he died. The other High family member had a lower cultivation level, and it was thought that he was in danger. Yan Lingyu sighed secretly and didn't make much comment. With the value of the King's He Soul Shooting Lotus, if the High family could obtain it and send it back to the clan safely, combined with the 100 Ghosts Yellow Spring and the refining Nether Yellow Spring Sutra, many giant cultivators might be born in the future. The High family has the foundation, But it is too difficult for soul cultivators to break through, and they lack an opportunity. Unfortunately, it seems that they have not seized it at present. There was some creature under the pond that killed both of them and turned into nutrients for the lotus. 8th Grandpa, let's go. Yan Lingyu calmed down and turned around with Yan Jichuan and left. His pace was even faster. He just wanted to go back alive to reunite with his family, and he was unwilling to take any risks unless there was an accident. The two Yan family members traveled through the dense forest for 4 days. They saw many corpses of monks. Many of them lost their lives while looking for secret treasures. This dense forest was not particularly dangerous. In the past 4 days, they encountered no more than 10 golden elixir monsters. Because of Yan Lingyu's powerful soul, the soul affects the consciousness, so they can avoid many dangers in advance. Yan Jichuan was not without effort. He had been in the Dacian Imperial Army for many years, and naturally he had also been to the 10,000 mountains to clear out monsters. He understood many characteristics of monsters, which could also reduce trouble. Perhaps it was God's blessing that the two did not encounter anything they could not deal with in the past 4 days, and finally got out of the primitive forest without any danger. After climbing over 3 mountains in a row, their 1,000-mile tracking shuttle responded. They had already arrived outside the Langaya secret realm, and were less than 1,000 miles away from their target. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, Entering the Secret Realm, the Use of the Spirit Shuttle. Langaya's secret realm is a valley surrounded by mountains. Yan Lingyu and the others walked into it safely along a mountain road. The vegetation here is more lush, and you can no longer see the sky when you look up. There are birds and beasts chirping around, as well as faint unknown noises. The spiritual energy here is more concentrated than that in the outside world, almost catching up with the effect of a Zhuan level gathering spirit formation. If the entire secret realm is like this, you can imagine how precious the spiritual materials bred here will be. At the same time, the monsters here must be much stronger than those in the outside world. But fortunately, the Hengshui sect is still a person, and they have used special means to lead away all the powerful monsters in the secret realm in advance. At this moment, the strongest monsters in this area of 10,000 miles are at most level 5 or 6, and there will definitely not be any level 7 or above, which is equivalent to the terrifying existence of the human race as nascent soul cultivators. If there is really a level 7 monster here, no matter how many foundation building cultivators are sent in, it will only be a fill-up for the other party. Yan Lingyu and the 8th Master Yan Jichuan carefully went deep into the secret realm, always alert to the surroundings, until a strange cave appeared within the range of their spiritual sense, with a terrifying aura inside. The two people's expressions became more solemn, knowing that there might be a high-level demon beast's lair ahead. However, just as they imagined encountering similar situations before and chose to avoid it, they all felt a twitch in their hearts, as if their souls were provoked, and a strange feeling rose from the soles of their feet to the tips of their hair. 1,000 miles chasing soul shuttle, Yan Lingyu reacted immediately and took out the spiritual shuttle. At this moment, the about 1 foot long spiritual shuttle emitted a red light. At the same time, the cold voice of King Zhenren rang in Yan Lingyu's mind. The demon cultivator is in front. This time it's a warning. Dare to take another step back, die? Yan Lingyu was horrified. But he quickly realized that it was not that King Zhenren had arrived nearby. The reason should be the problem of the 1,000 miles chasing soul shuttle. This voice was just recorded in advance. As for why this prompt was caused, Yan Lingyu had a guess. Just now, the two of them retreated subconsciously because of the danger ahead, and wanted to take a detour. It should be that the spirit shuttle sensed something and issued a warning. Lingyu, this Hengshui sect really doesn't care about our lives. This secret realm is dangerous. How can they not let people retreat? If there is a dragon's den and a tiger's lair ahead, do we have to force our way in? Yan Jichuan said indignantly. He was born in the Imperial Guard. Although the Dacian Imperial Guard also acted domineeringly, they were not like the Hengshui sect, who ignored the feelings of others. Yan Lingyu smiled bitterly and prepared to think of another way. Who knew that they had just stopped for less than an instant stick of time, and the spirit shuttle went crazy again. The two felt that their souls were scraped by a knife, and they were in great pain. Yan Lingyu was fine, after all, his soul was strong. Yan Jichuan suffered a lot and couldn't straighten his back for a while. Eighth Master, follow me. We will walk diagonally. This was the best solution Yan Lingyu could think of in a short time. The two of them advanced in a zigzag pattern, which was neither a retreat nor a way to split the cave in front. Yan Lingyu took the lead and tried to slow down his pace. He had seen the true face of Hengshui sect. Judging from the other party's face, it might not be a good thing to find the demon cultivator cuisine. All the benefits and promises that Hengshui sect said were just based on their mouths. Anyway, Yan Lingyu didn't care about this task and the so-called reward from the bottom of his heart. He just wanted peace. He could lead the Yan family to rise on his own without the help of Hengshui sect. Let's give this opportunity to other fellows. As for the natural treasures in the secret realm, with the lessons of Hengshui Ocean and others, plus the restraint of the soul-chasing shuttle, forget it. It would be a gain to pick up some spiritual materials and plants along the way. The two of them took the next key restoring pill respectively. There were constant dangers along the way, and they were always on the road, which consumed a lot of mana. Even Yan Lingyu, who had a strong ki, couldn't stand this kind of tossing. And just in case, they must always keep their bodies in the best condition. Of course, these pills were brought by themselves. The two dared not touch the items of Hengshui sect anymore. Who knows if there are other tricks to control people in them? Even if they are powerful, they can't be used unless it's the last moment. In addition to the ki recovering pills, Yan Lingyu also took the 9 water soul enriching pill without reservation. In such an environment, it's good to improve your cultivation a little. In this way, the two of them moved forward under the cover of the phantom clothes. Walking in a Z shape is really useful. It can not only slow down the forward speed, but also avoid the detection of the soul-chasing shuttle. After all, it's just a spiritual weapon, and there are still many loopholes to exploit. Now, what Yan Lingyu wants to do is to find a disciple of Hengshui sect, first to understand what he doesn't know yet. Information is always important. He has sent a message to He Tuangfen. If the other party is also in this secret realm, he will definitely reply, and then the two families can meet up. After an unknown period of time, Yan Lingyu and the others came to a canyon. The fog was thick here, visibility was extremely low, and their spiritual awareness was also limited, almost limited to a radius of 1 mile, while Yan Lingyu originally had a range of nearly 100 miles. The situation here was unknown, and they had no choice but to step in here, and there was no way around it. Be careful, Yan Lingyu suddenly transmitted the message. The Hengshui inlay that had long been condensed on the surface of the body instantly turned into a sea current, protecting them in it. The hidden flow spirit finger shuttled through the liquid, accumulating potential energy. It was a buffalo-like demon, huge in size, and the muffled mooing and the vibration of the iron hoofs stepping on the ground could be heard from a long distance, and it was coming with great momentum. There was no way to avoid it, so they could only take it head-on. Treading buffalo, a 4th-level demon beast, a quick battle, the voice transmitted by Yanji came to his mind, and Yan Lingyu understood it. In an instant, his eyes widened. And there was a faint blue light flashing in his eyes, and he used the Zuanming pupil. The opponent's momentum was obviously stagnant. In addition, with a restriction of Hengshui Yinli, the treading water buffalo's violent collision had been disintegrated, just like hitting a solid wall, and almost fell over. The two Yan family members cooperated tacitly. Yan Lingyu's sword light, along with Yan Jichuan's blade, had reached the strong skin of the bull monster. The latter's knife left a mark, and the former only needed to chop along the mark. Yan Jichuan had been in the army for many years, and he had encountered many more monsters than Yan Lingyu. Even though Yan Lingyu had the memory of 2 lives, he was still not as good as his 8th grandfather in finding the weak points of monsters. Under the guidance of the old man, he cut the sudden treading water buffalo into 8 pieces like a butcher cutting an ox. But the two had no time to think about it. Yan Lingyu only took off the 2 big horns, and then he performed the floating cloud and flowing water footwork and escaped in an instant. Because of the movement just now, other monsters have been attracted. This canyon is obviously more dangerous than other places in the secret realm, and there are more monsters. The 2 Yan family members could only find a direction and leave quickly. They fled all the way, and as the roaring sound behind them became weaker and weaker, they came to a swamp. Yan Lingyu's eyes suddenly lit up. Earth cleansing. Chapter 137, The earth is clean and the evil is in danger, nothing can be done at this moment. Yan Lingyu released his spiritual consciousness while walking. With the help of his spiritual consciousness, everything within a radius of 1 mile appeared clearly in his mind. At the edge, he noticed that in the swamp that stretched for who knows how many miles, there was actually a clear spring lying quietly. The area of the spring was not large, surrounded by various strange vegetation, less than 20 feet in radius, but the spring water was clear and there was no trace of turbidity, which formed a sharp contrast with the earthy environment around it. Just from a distance, you can clearly see the water flowing out of the spring. When the water meets the air, it condenses instantly, forming a thin green mist, floating above the water's surface, and will not dissipate for a long time. And the green mist has undergone a qualitative change after years of accumulation, and the color is darker and richer, like a water ball. The clarity and the extreme turbidity, the constantly rushing spring, the rich spiritual jade nourishment, and the long-term accumulation of time. All of these made Yan Lingyu think of a kind of earth-level evil spirit, the earth-cleansing evil spirit. As his cultivation level continued to improve, Yan Lingyu would naturally pay attention to the conditions required to break through the Jinden. He had done a lot of things for the High family, and he had learned a lot about water-based evil spirits. Of course, some of them were suitable for him, and some were not. And this Dijinghe Wanshan was the most suitable earth-level evil spirit for Yan Lingyu. Because the technique he practiced, Zhuangzi Shui Mianju, originally emphasized endless life and a long history, which was in line with the nature of this evil spirit. What's more, he had Hengshui spirit body, which was a top-level spirit body that could amplify all water-based substances. The Yan family also exchanged for other water-based evil spirits. But they all conflicted with Yan Lingyu. Although he could also break through the Jinden through them, it would reduce the success rate. If he refined the evil spirit that matched him, it would not only not reduce it, but also improve it. Moreover, after Yan Lingyu broke through the Jinden because of Dijinghe Wanshan, he could also attach many characteristics of the evil spirit when he used the Taoist technique of Ren Shui Yin Lei, and the two would complement each other. Now he is not far from the shackles of the golden elixir. Although he is only in the late stage of foundation building, there is only a membrane between the late stage of foundation building and the peak of foundation building. In other words, as long as time accumulates, every late stage of foundation building can be the peak of foundation building. The peak of foundation building itself is not a realm, it is more like a title, telling oneself and others that I can condense the elixir. If Yan Lingyu wanted, he could also try to break through the golden elixir at this moment, but the possibility of success is extremely low. At this moment, even he had a look of desire in his eyes. This opportunity is really hard to come by. Huqing Lingmang, suddenly, another term rang in Yan Lingyu's mind. Almost all evil spirits have a companion spirit beast next to them. The one accompanying the earth-cleansing Huajuan evil is this Huqing Lingmang. This spirit python is a 5th-level demon beast when it grows up. It is rumored that if it transforms once, it will become a Huqing Lingjiao, or even transform into human form, becoming an existence equivalent to a Yuanying cultivator. And the spirit python has a special hobby. It always likes to ambush, hiding very secretly, and when the prey is hooked, it will swallow the prey in one gulp, and then slowly digest it into its own nutrients. Yan Lingyu's heart sank, and he silently looked for the figure of the spiritual python. Soon, he found something strange around him. The Huqing spiritual python was actually fighting with another monster. Previously, because of the fog in the canyon, he didn't notice it. It was only after moving forward a long distance that he discovered this shocking movement. He also recognized the monster fighting with the spiritual python. It was the Cheyenne crocodile. Both sides were monsters above the 5th level. The two were entangled and kept biting each other. There were roars and collisions. However, Yan Lingyu did not think of stealing the evil spirit secretly. The corpses of the monks scattered around the swamp made him very sober and knew that it was impossible to do it. Not only that, these two 5th-level monsters were obviously the overlords of the territories in various places, and they had many small monsters and beasts under their command, who were also attacking each other. This was probably a territorial dispute. If he and Yan Jichuan made any other rash moves, it would be counterproductive and bring unexpected consequences. So after a brief decision, Yan Lingyu decisively gave up his greed and decided to leave here first. But he did not give up completely. He left a mark in a hidden place so that he could come back and look for it if he had the chance. Maybe by then, The two monsters would fight to the death, allowing Yan Lingyu to pick up a big leak. 8th Grandpa, follow me closely. Yan Lingyu's face was serious and he said in a deep voice. Their crisis was not resolved. Even if the 5th level monsters would not pay attention to them, it was still a dangerous move to cross this sea of beasts. If they were not careful, they would be drowned. If they were deeply trapped in it, these monsters with low intelligence would not care whether they were a third party. Swish, the two flew low and tried to avoid contact as much as possible. But after all, there were many monsters, and there would always be those who were blindly staring at them. At this moment, a wild boar as tall as 2 people rushed over. The direction Yan Lingyu chose was far from the center of the fight. There were not many high-level monsters here, and the 4th level was the highest. He remained calm, and as soon as he thought about it, the 3 lotus blue sword flew out of Mingli's scabbard in an instant, with a green light flashing, and the pig monster turned into blood. Although the pig monster was killed, the danger for the two was not over. Not far away, various monsters approached them. Yan Lingyu flipped his hand, and a round blue bead appeared in his palm. This was the middle-grade spiritual weapon's Hidden Pearl. Under the urging of the strong mana, the Hidden Pearl continued to grow larger and finally fixed at the size of a wash basin. Water vapor emerged on the surface of the bead, and layers of waves spread out in all directions with Yan Lingyu as the center. With a blessing of the 5 elements Heartdale formation, the 3rd and 4th level monsters that came after hearing the sound were thrown to the ground by the waves. For a while, the area around the two was cleared. However, there are always fish that slip through the net. A sharp-horned turtle crocodile took advantage of the water flow to flow up and came close. But before it opened its bloody mouth to bite the flesh, a knife shadow flashed by. Punchy the sound of the knife cutting flesh came, and it was Yan Jichuan who cut it down. Perhaps, his cultivation was not high, and he would suffer a loss if he faced these monsters head-on. But after all, he had spent most of his life in the Dacian Imperial Army. His fighting sense was extremely sharp, and he could easily find the opponent's weaknesses and give a fatal blow. Yan Jichuan, who was old and had a hidden illness, dared to come here on his own initiative, naturally not just to leave hope to other young tribesmen, but also because of his strength. And his combat experience was also the best in the tribe. Especially the ability to cooperate with others. Yan Jichuan was behind Yan Lingyu, but his every move did not affect the performance of the person in front of him at all, and could even play a complementary role. This allowed Yan Lingyu to leave his back to the other party. And Yan Jichuan, with his Minglu knife and Xianming 13 knives, could also take on this important task. The two cooperated well, rushing left and right in the sea of beasts, and fought their way out. When they rushed out of the sea of beasts, the pressure was obviously reduced. After walking for dozens of miles, there were few monsters nearby, which made it seem safer. At this moment, the light of the 1,000-mile soul-chasing shuttle was brighter, and it seemed that the demon cultivator was not far away from them. This was bad news. But there was also good news. Yan Lingyu finally received a reply from He Tongfen. Chapter 138 Intelligence, Convergence. Fellow Taoist Yan, please go to the central plane of the Langaya secret realm. We will meet there, this is what the message said. This made Yan Lingyu feel certain that it would be best to meet up with He Tongfen. The other party must have known much more information than himself. At the same time, this person is quite powerful and not very scheming. With his help, he can be safer. Tell Yan Jichuan the content of the message. The two did not stop and followed the instructions on the map, turning into light and rushing towards the destination. They had been traveling in the secret realm for a long time and were not far from the central area. Soon, 3 figures appeared in the field of vision. 2 men and 1 woman, all wearing Hengshui sect's special Taoist robes. The 2 men, one of them looked immature and looked very young, like a teenager. The other had a decent appearance and a dignified look, which made people feel good when they saw him. Yan Lingyu actually knew both of them. They were Duanfeng and He Tongfen. The former was Yan Renming's junior brother. He was the one who came to the Yan family to take away the corpse. After many years, he had not changed except for his cultivation. The female cultivator from Hengshui sect was beautiful and had a curvy figure, but she had a cold face and kept strangers away. She was particularly cold. The two sides came into contact and exchanged pleasantries. Then Yan Lingyu got a lot of information from them. The female cultivator was named Duruyan, and she was a disciple of the king Immortal. No wonder she is so arrogant. It turns out that she has the support of the Immortal, Yan Lingyu muttered in his heart. Duanfeng and He Rufang's masters were both giant and cultivators, so they behaved more approachable. Of course, this may also be due to their innate personality. At this moment, from the other party's mouth, Yan Lingyu also had a general understanding of the current situation. As expected, this secret realm is full of dangers, and the demon cultivator is also particularly powerful. Yan Lingyu and Yan Jichuan entered relatively late, almost the last batch. They had more or less taken advantage of it, as the cultivators ahead had helped them to find and eliminate many dangers. Yan Lingyu and his companions had always been able to travel safely, and in addition to their strong strength, the above was also a very important reason. Other cultivators were not so lucky. According to He Tongfeng, there were less than 40 human cultivators still alive in the secret realm. Yan Lingyu was surprised when he said this. You should know that this time, Hengshui sect had recruited a total of 7 counties in the south, with more than 100 sect forces. If we calculate 2 people from each force, there would be as many as 260 of these people. Including the disciples sent by Hengshui sect, the number of foundation building cultivators could reach 300 in total. But only a few days had passed, and 80% of them had died. Among these dead cultivators, there were even many Hengshui sect disciples. In the situation Yan Lingyu knew, the disciples of Hengshui sect were not restricted by the 1,000-mile soul-chasing shuttle, and they had the support of the sect, and their overall strength was stronger. But even so, their mortality rate was 50%. After the group reunited, they did not stop but headed towards the center of the secret realm. After jointly eliminating a group of demon beasts, the 5 people landed on a small hill. Yan Lingyu could sense several auras nearby, not far from him, and they should be other cultivators. Suddenly, he found that the 1,000-mile soul-chasing shuttle had become dim, as if it had lost its effect. At this moment, He Tongfeng's voice rang out, "We are already close to the demon cultivator, and Cuisine is in the cave below us. I don't know what magic the other party used to shield himself, causing the soul-chasing shuttle to be ineffective within this range. If we want to find him, we can only search for him in full coverage light fishing. Although we have lost a lot of fellow disciples, he was also seriously injured and his strength was greatly reduced." After hearing this, Yan Lingyu looked at his feet and fell into deep thought. It was a good thing for him that the soul-chasing shuttle was disturbed, so it would be easy for him to let go and fish. There are so many masters around, why would he risk his life? Then, he glanced at Duanfeng and Du Ruyan with his peripheral vision. Especially the latter. Because of what King Zhenren did, it was hard not to have prejudice. Yan Lingyu suspected that this woman was secretly monitoring others. After a change of mind, Yan Lingyu asked, "What are you going to do next? Since Cuisine is already trapped, these Hengshui sect disciples must have discussed a countermeasure. Knowing the situation in advance, it is better to make plans early." He Tongfeng explained solemnly, "We have explored this cave. There are 5 exits in total. Later, Brother Huming and others will enter and drive the demon cultivator out. The others just need to guard the exit and prevent the other party from escaping. When everyone arrives, they will be able to take down the demon cultivator. In Hengshui sect, there are 10 foundation building disciples, each of whom has the potential to challenge giant and cultivators. Their strength is amazing, far beyond the freeze, including Lin Huming, Zuyu and others. There is no place for He Tongfeng among them. Now 5 of the 10 disciples have come, and 1 was killed by a sneak attack. It was also the remaining 4 who joined forces to seriously injure the demon cultivator Cuisine." Then, Duanfeng suddenly said, "Originally, this group was short of manpower. There were only 3 of us brothers, and we were the weakest among the 5 exits. Fortunately, fellow Taoist Yan joined us to make up for the loss." Yan Lingyu looked at the expressions of the others and knew that he had to agree to this matter. But before he could speak, Du Ruyan on the side said in a frivolous tone, "Brother He, is this person capable? This matter is of great importance. What if this Yan is not strong enough and gets in the way, and Cuisine runs away? What should we do, Sister Du?" "I recognize fellow Taoist Yan's strength." He Tongfeng just tried to mediate, but was interrupted by Yan Lingyu. The latter was not angry because of being looked down upon. Instead, she persuaded He Tongfeng with a smile, "Brother He, it's okay. We are from a small family, and we are indeed not as good as you, the disciples of the upper sect. If we really help, we will be guilty of a serious crime." Yan Lingyu's smile was not fake, but was really sincere. As expected, What kind of master you have, what kind of disciple you will have. This dog-eye looking look is really too much like that of the dog. But at this moment, Yan Lingyu still has to thank this senior sister Du. He didn't want to get involved. With the other party's character, few people would be ordered around. Since the person wanted to drive him away, he would naturally climb down the pole. At this moment, He Tongfeng's face was a little ugly. His senior sister was equivalent to scolding him, but with the Yuanying's Henren behind the other party, he couldn't get angry. He still recognized Yan Lingyu's strength. Although Duanfeng was familiar with the latter, the last contact was decades ago, and he knew her far less than He Tongfeng. He sent a voice message to Yan Lingyu, "Brother Yan, don't take it to heart. Senior sister Du is just a little picky, but she is actually a good person." He didn't even believe what he said, but he had to do so and bite the bullet to ease the relationship between the two sides. He Tongfeng continued to transmit his voice, "Brother Yan, I know that you cultivators have complaints against the Hengshui sect, but this is how the world works. If you fall behind, you will be bullied. If you don't take action, the demon cultivator will escape from our place, and in the end you and your Yan family will be implicated. Brother He, don't worry, I will lurk around you, and if there is any abnormal situation, I will help you," Yan Lingyu replied. He said this and deliberately omitted a sentence, "It depends on the situation." In this way, He Tongfeng's worry was relieved. And Yan Lingyu secretly said in his heart, "There are 5 exits, I won't be so unlucky, I just happened to bump into it." Chapter 139, The Two Sides Fight, The Terrorist Forces. Following the disciples of Hengshui sect, Yan Lingyu and Yanji came to the bottom of a cliff. There was a bottomless and extremely dark cave with faint sounds coming from it. He Tongfeng and the other two stood in front of the cave, pacing and waiting with a solemn look on their faces, while the 2 members of the Yan family stood in the dense forest not far away, looking at them and adjusting their breath. Because the Qianli soul-chasing shuttle was ineffective, the 2 people's physical and mental pressure was much less. In this leisure time, you can think about other things. Yan Lingyu still couldn't get rid of the lingering thought of the Daijing Huozhuansha in his mind at this moment. According to his calculations, Huqing Lingmang and Shianka Crocodile should also decide the winner. It is unknown who will win in the end, and whether the winner will also be seriously injured. Originally, Yan Lingyu could suppress this matter, but after contacting He Tongfeng and the other 2, other ideas emerged in his mind. It must be said that the comprehensive strength of the disciples of the upper sect is very strong. At present, the 3 of them are people at the same level as him. They can be regarded as the best among the foundation-building cultivators. Yan Lingyu was considering whether to invite them to help obtain the earth-clearing Huozhuansha. If the 4 of them joined forces, it would be very likely that they could snatch the spirit from the injured 5th-level monster. It was also for this reason that Yan Lingyu did not fall out with Du Ruyan. Moreover, he was not afraid that the other 3 would see the spirit and become disloyal, because none of them had water-based skills, and the only use of the water-based spirit was to exchange it for spirit stones. However, if he asked the other party to help, he did not know if he could come up with enough rewards. The disciples of the Hengshui sect had very high standards. While Yan Lingyu was still thinking, the voice of his 8th grandfather Yan Jichuan rang in his mind. "Lingyu, since you have discovered that the evil cultivator is nearby, why don't you summon those real people to take action? Although the golden core Yuanying cannot enter, the monsters may not be able to find it in a few moments." Yan Lingyu had considered this issue before, and as he analyzed it himself, he vaguely guessed the chaos of the Hengshui sect. He thought for a moment and replied, "I guess that the top leaders of Hengshui sect are also full of suspicion. There must be a demon cultivator lurking among those Yuanying's Henren. If the demon cultivator can rescue the imprisoned Kuizin, he can rescue him again in this Langaya secret realm. Hengshui sect can't find a person with an absolutely clean identity." Yan Lingyu continued to remind him, "8th grandpa, if Kuizin really comes out from this exit, I will go to fight, and you should try to retreat as far as possible. No matter what happens, don't get close, even if I live or die." Yan Jichuan was stunned, nodded and said, "Okay, the demon cultivator is weird and has the ability to bewitch people. His cultivation is low, so it is easy to be deceived and become a breakthrough. Yan Jichuan himself doesn't care about this, but he is a little worried about the younger generation in front of him." At this time, the 2 suddenly felt a constant vibration under their feet. They fought. The cultivator who entered the cave had already encountered Kuizin head-on, so it wouldn't take long for the latter to escape. Although the two Yan family members were not the main fighting force, they still unconsciously tried their luck and looked serious. Yan Lingyu had a bad feeling in her heart, and her eyes were fixed on the dark cave entrance. The vibration under her feet became stronger. Fortunately, there were concealing formations set up by the cultivators in advance, otherwise, the noise alone would attract countless monsters around. A giant-level demon cultivator was difficult enough, and if there were a 5th-level monster, the task would be almost impossible to complete. Compared with the two people from the Yan family, the more nervous were He Tongfeng and his 3 companions. At this moment, the 3 of them used all their means. Duanfeng's lantern spirit weapon, He Tongfeng's giant blade spirit weapon, and Duruyan's treasure lotus spirit weapon were facing the cave entrance, with spiritual energy running wild. Not long after, the 5 people from both sides were shocked. A faint light appeared in the depths of the cave, and a wisp of black air overflowed from the exit, and flowers withered when they met, and grass fell when it touched it. Then 3 embarrassed figures appeared, as if chasing something. According to what Yan Lingyu knew, there were 6 people who entered the cave, 4 of whom were top foundation-building disciples of the Hengshui sect, and 2 of whom were famous foundation-building monks in the southern counties. But now there are only 3 left, and one of them is missing an arm. "Brother Huming," Duruyan called out. "Junior sister Ruyan, act quickly. Kuizin has turned into black mist and will soon come into contact with you. He is seriously injured and dying. You just need to delay him, and after you and I meet up, we can capture him alive." A low voice was faintly heard in the cave. Then another person shouted loudly, "Junior brothers and sisters, be careful of the black air emitted by this person. If you are infected, you must remove the infected part immediately." At the same time, several people outside the cave also noticed the fast-moving mist hidden in the darkness. Duruyan took the lead, spreading her arms, and the light green key attached to her whole body, gradually forming a key armor, and the pink lotus that was ready to move also bloomed instantly, with a faint fluorescence floating out, trying to block the hole. But before she could fully launch the attack, a demonic voice that penetrated people's hearts suddenly arose. Duruyan, it was impossible to tell whether it was a male or female voice, but the impact was amazing. For a moment, Duruyan, who was originally cold and arrogant, with expressive eyebrows and eyes, became demented, lost her soul, stood in place, and lowered her head. The lotus she released was also out of control and swayed in the air, and it seemed that it would fall at any time. Kuizin was obviously exhausted. After using this evil technique, he could no longer support his injuries and changed from the black fog state to a human form. His true appearance appeared in front of everyone. He was a pale and elegant man who looked as beautiful as a woman. A lean camel is bigger than a horse. Even if Kuizin is in a bad condition now, he still has the power to resist. Not only did he instantly take down a late foundation-building cultivator with one strike, but he also had enough energy to swing a black cloud of miasma behind him. It seemed to be a magic weapon, and the precious light shot up into the sky, isolating Zhuang Huming and others behind him. In other words, the only ones who could face Kuizin now were Duanfeng and He Tongfeng. Seeing that the situation was not good, the latter hurriedly summoned helpers. The 2 closest to them were the Yan family. It would take some time for the cultivators stationed at other cave entrances to rush over. Yan Lingyu cursed inwardly for his bad luck and was forced to show up to join the battle. In this situation, even if he did not join, his fate would not be good after the demon cultivator killed the 2 Hengshui sect disciples. The 3 Lotus Kingming sword was summoned and shot away. On the other side, Kuizin had a blank expression on his face. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he crushed Duruyan, who was closest to him and unprepared, with one hand. The overflowing blood flowed into his body, making his face regain some redness. "What, senior sister, do?" The 3 were shocked by the other party's method of killing people to replenish their energy. Even though Kuizin was seriously injured, he was able to kill Duruyan in seconds. Now that he has recovered a lot from his injuries, Yan Lingyu and the others dare not resist him head-on. They want to join forces to fight the enemy together. However, the opponent did not give him any time to react and spoke in a devilish voice again. Duanfeng, Kuizin was originally a member of the Hengshui sect, and he had many friends in the sect and a well-developed network of contacts. He was familiar with many of the sect members. This, combined with the evil skills of calling out names, was too threatening. Chapter 140, Fierce Battle, Finale. Duanfeng, another devilish voice. Even though Yan Lingyu was not the target of the spell, He felt cold and his thinking slowed down. Duanfeng was like Du Ruyan before, standing there in a daze with his eyes unfocused. He knew that he could not let the other party kill him and draw energy from him. Yan Lingyu's spirit flashed, and his eyes were full of stars. Zuanming pupil. He cast it directly on Duanfeng, who could not control himself. The man was shocked and came to his senses in an instant. He saw Cuisin's devilish hand coming in front of him, and his soul was surging. He didn't have time to think about it, and a round bead shot out from his chest. As soon as the round bead touched the true energy, it instantly reflected a spherical light curtain, protecting Duanfeng's body in the middle. This made it difficult for the devil to attack, so he had to give up the attack. It was also at this moment that Duanfeng had time to cast a grateful look at Yan Lingyu. If the other party had not saved him, he would not even have time to cast this magic weapon, the earth surrounding spirit barrier bead, and would have died. After this rescue, Yan Lingyu and the other two felt more at ease. The method of calling out names was indeed strange and hard to guard against. But now there is a way to restrain it, eliminating many dangers. In Yan Lingyu's view, he and the demon cultivator are both powerful souls, but he can be a level higher and can play a counter effect, and the other party does not know his identity and cannot use the magic of calling out names, all of which are his advantages. The three of them still have some chance of winning if they join forces. Then, he sent a voice message to the other two and said, "Protect me, this person will definitely attack me next," and just as Yan Lingyu expected, Cuisin failed to hide him in one blow and broke through to the former in an instant. Although the latter is a demon cultivator, he is not a fool. He just performed the Taoist method of calling out names, but did not get any kills, which made him consume a lot of demonic energy. Although he did not know Yan Lingyu, he could be sure that she was not from the Hengshui sect. The strength of the outer family cultivators is generally lower than that of the upper sect, so Yan Lingyu's position is the best breakthrough point now. And according to Cuisin's understanding, the move that can awaken Duanfeng's soul must have been made by this person. A magic blade appeared in Cuisin's hand, 6 feet long, with magic energy lingering on it, making people dare not touch it. Raise your hand, raise the knife, and chop vertically. The knife energy and the magic energy mixed together, like a huge tornado. At this moment, although Duanfeng and He Tongfeng had received Yan Lingyu's reminder, they were still a beat slower. But when they arrived, they could only face the attack from the demon cultivators behind, and could not weaken the tornado that looked infinitely powerful. Yan Lingyu's face was solemn, and his aura had been locked, which meant that he could only take the opponent's move head-on. Hengshui Yanlei had been released. But it didn't work. This was the first time that Hengshui Yanlei was completely split. Faced with this situation, Yan Lingyu didn't dare to use the middle-grade spiritual weapons Hanyuansu. He didn't dare to gamble whether Hanyuansu could block it, because if it couldn't block it, he would definitely die. So, he was protecting his chest with a small black shield at the moment. This is the magic weapon his wife gave him to save his life, the black water blue scale shield. The Hengshui spirit body and the spirit body source in his body opened together, and the two violently flowing vortices continuously provided him with mana, allowing him to barely use this magic weapon with huge consumption. Woo 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 woo, the magic weapon made a sound. At the same time, the sword attack had already arrived in front of him. The light was bright, and a giant carp phantom appeared in front of Yan Lingyu, blocking the tornado with amazing destructive power. However, he was still repelled because of the powerful impact force. This caused the triangle formation of Yan Lingyu and the other two to be cut and scattered. It gave Cuisin space to escape. Cuisin also seized this opportunity, using powerful mana to shake off the entangled Duanhe and the other two, and transformed into a black mist again, trying to get away from here. However, before he could take off, 2 undercurrents stabbed at him from the left and right. It was the hidden flow spirit finger that Yan Lingyu had buried in the Hengshui Yanlei in advance. Although Cuisin was in a misty state at the moment, he was still a physical entity, and he was also injured. He did not dare to take the killing move of a late-stage foundation building cultivator. He could only dodge and block with a magic blade. Yan Lingyu had practiced the hidden flow spirit finger for many years. In order to enhance its lethality, he naturally modified it to make its trajectory more tricky and more flexible to control. So, 2 shadows drew an arc in the sky that was difficult to understand, avoiding Cuisin's defense and hitting the opponent's back. Even though one of the spirit fingers was blocked, the other one drilled into the black fog, swirled in it, and beat Cuisin back to his original form, showing a human body again with a more gloomy expression. Yan Lingyu not only avoided the attack, but his counterattack was also effective, which made Dunhe and the others feel excited and more courageous. He Tuangfang turned into a little golden man. He did not use the He family's unique golden light body protection spell, but the top-level skill of the Hengshui sect, the Vajra Town, which is an earth-level Taoist technique that combines offense and defense. With a longsword in his hand, he launched a surging attack on Cuisine. The latter had already suffered a loss from Yan Lingyu, and suddenly met Yi Tongfeng, and was also in a panic. But the devil cultivator is a devil cultivator after all, and all kinds of horrifying methods emerge in an endless stream. I saw that one of Cuisine's arms suddenly disappeared, and then Yi Tongfeng, who was covered with the golden light, flew backwards with blood spurting out of his mouth. What is this? Yan Lingyu was shocked. He had never seen such a method. But one thing is certain, this Cuisine is going to fight desperately. Yan Lingyu did not dare to be careless. He did not care about his fellow Taoist, but took 2 steps back, pinched his 10 fingers, and 5 runes of different colors emerged. The unique skills of this Henming sect, the 5 elements Heart Dao Seal, the rune Shadow 5 elements Dao Array. The 5 small inscriptions interacted with each other, and the effects of shock, restraint, weakness, etc. were imposed on the opponent at the same time. This made Cuisine's idea of releasing the self-harming magic again was suppressed, and he could only think about how to get rid of this uncomfortable state. While he was still thinking, Yan Lingyu's 3 lotus blue sword and Duanfeng's lantern spiritual weapon had attacked again. Cuisine's eyes flashed with a trace of hostility. If it weren't for the previous fight with Zhuang Huming and the others, which caused huge losses and damaged many spiritual instruments and magic treasures, how could he be bullied by these people in front of him? Especially the strange man. This sword wielder has many means, is quite powerful, and has a strong soul. He knows the Taoist arts of the soul and can break the magic of calling the name. Cuisine couldn't escape, and many reasons were due to this man. In anger, he injured Duanfeng with a palm and wanted to break through again. But the few people fought for so long, and Zhuang Huming was no ordinary person. They had broken through the barrier and came out of the cave. Not only that, the monks guarding other exits also came after hearing the news. The crowd showed a momentum of double teaming, surrounding Cuisine in the middle. The demon cultivator has run out of tricks. Fellow Taoists, please act quickly and capture him. Zhuang Huming breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that the event was about to be accomplished. He shouted loudly. Suddenly, lights of various colors shone around him. The event was about to end. Chapter 141, Death is Inevitable, Lingyu's Thoughts. Langaia's secret realm, next to a valley in the center. Cuisine, who was emitting black demonic energy, was on the verge of collapse. After a wave of Taoist magic, he was already exhausted. The demon cultivators had strange methods. Even if they were almost dead, no one dared to step forward, fearing that there would be some Taoist method of mutual destruction. Cuisine, surrender. At this moment, the most qualified person to speak was Zhuang Huming, the senior disciple of Hengshui sect and the chief disciple. Under this heavy siege, Cuisine seemed to have given up resistance and his whole body softened. However, the next second, everyone present changed their faces. Self-destruction? What? How is it possible? The disciples of Hengshui sect were incredulous, and those who were recruited like Yan Lingyu had already slipped away. The power of this self-destruction was not as great as imagined, and it could even be said that it posed no threat to others. Cuisine seemed to be wiped out by the power of heaven, and turned into stars and disappeared between heaven and earth. At this moment, Yan Lingyu once again felt the change of the 1,000-mile soul-chasing shuttle. The spiritual energy on it dissipated, and the light went out, just like a burning stick. This also indicates that Cuisine is really dead. Yan Lingyu and Yan Jichuan beside him looked at each other and exhaled a breath of turbid air. Now that the matter is over, they can finally go back. It doesn't seem to be too dangerous to return with the people of Hengshui sect, but now that Yi Tongfeng and Duanfeng are both seriously injured, I think they have given up on the matter of Lingsha. Not only the 2 people of the Yan family, but also the sound of relief continued to sound around, and many cultivators showed happy expressions. After completing the task, they not only survived, but also might be able to get rewards from Hengshui sect, and they rarely smiled. But in stark contrast to these cultivators, the disciples of Hengshui sect were gloomy. Yan Lingyu heard a whisper. How did Cuisine commit suicide? Did the old master Kijin put a thought-killing and will-suppressing lock on him? Could he have unlocked it? The voice came from Zhuang Huming, and the disciple's face was full of reluctance and worry. They had put in so much effort and sacrificed countless fellow disciples, not just to kill Kuizin. What they wanted from the Hengshui sect was intelligence from the other side, to find out the undercover in the upper echelons. If Kuizin died, all their efforts would be wasted. Zhuang Huming was puzzled. With the thought-killing and will-suppressing lock in place, it would be impossible for him to commit suicide, unless there were helpers from the other side around who unlocked the restriction for Kuizin. He began to scan the expressions of everyone. In the end, it was fruitless. Helplessly, he could only collect Kuizin's relics and prepare to return to the sect to report. He had to give an explanation to the cultivators around him, and the concealment formation had reached its limit. The blood energy here was about to attract monsters. It was not advisable to stay here for long. Everyone, follow me. I will lead you out of this secret realm. Since you have made great efforts, I will give you generous rewards from Hengshui sect. We will not treat you unfairly. Zhuang Huming's voice sounded. After a brief emotional fluctuation, he returned to his original cold appearance. At this point, he could only return to the sect to inform the elders and then make a long-term plan. The cultivators were happy. Then they followed him and left. Hengshui sect set up a teleportation array outside the secret realm. Through the teleportation array, they can return to the periphery of the 100,000 mountains and escape from the dominant area of the monster beasts, and the degree of danger will be reduced sharply. From here to the location of the teleportation array, according to the speed of the foundation building cultivators, it will take less than 3 days. In other words, as long as they hold on for another 3 days, they will be safe. Yan Lingyu couldn't help but feel the joy of surviving a disaster. However, the appearance of a voice transmission made him fall back to the bottom. Brother Yan, because Kuizin's suicide was strange, Hengshui sect will send people to search his soul. You should be patient and don't resist. The voice transmission came from the injured He Tuangfen. Soul search? Soul search. For a moment, Yan Lingyu felt like he was falling into an ice cave, and the coldness rushed from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. I did not reply to the other party immediately, but pondered it myself. The result was that he could not escape the fate of soul search. But the problem was that the secret of Yan Lingyu was too big. If it was known, the consequences would be disastrous. Even if he died immediately, it was impossible for him to have his soul searched. He was silent. He was thinking about what to do. But his mind was empty and he could not think of a good way. Escape? Where can he escape to? There's such a big Yan family behind him. Don't want it? Let's not talk about whether Hengshui sect has a way to find him. If he escapes, he will be guilty. He just heard from Zhuang Huming that Kuizin's death was strange and might involve other people. If he runs away, he will almost be the one to bear the blame. The Yan family will also be destroyed. Therefore, he cannot escape, or in other words, he cannot show that he has to resist the soul search. This is also the reason why Yan Lingyu did not reply to He Tongfeng immediately. The monk team was still moving forward, almost crossing half of the Langaya secret realm, and they would be able to get out before nightfall. This left Yan Lingyu with little time. Gradually, sweat oozed from his forehead. Although he was full of reluctance, Yan Lingyu had only one feasible solution at present, that is, he died. As long as he was dead, even if he searched his soul, he would not find anything, because his soul was gone. What could he search with? No matter how advanced the Hengshui sect's methods were, they could only go back in time at most. And going back in time could not discover Yan Lingyu's secret. Death seemed to be the best solution for Yan Lingyu at the moment. Moreover, this death could not be too bizarre, and it could not just happen. There must be a reason, otherwise he would be suspected. Yan Lingyu felt bitter in his heart. Nothing good would happen to him if he was involved with a Hengshui sect and Kuizin. Not only did he harm Yan Renming, but he also wanted to drag him to be buried with him. After thinking about it, Yan Lingyu was relieved after making up his mind. Now it was time to consider how he died. At this time, someone in the team spoke up. It turned out that the three wanted to leave the team and seize some opportunities in the secret realm at the last moment. Seize the opportunities. Yan Lingyu had a flash of inspiration. It should be reasonable to die in the process of seizing opportunities. After all, countless people die every day in the world because of this. Half of the more than 200 foundation-building monks recruited this time died because of this. Zhuang Huming glanced at those people. Seizing opportunities is equivalent to killing their parents. He couldn't stop them, But he didn't want to let them leave, because in his opinion, there might be Cuisin's accomplices among them, so it would be better to investigate them one by one. But he was afraid that his attitude would be too tough and alert the enemy. If he directly stated that Hengshui sect still wanted to investigate, it might make the inner ghost alert and make arrangements in advance to destroy the evidence. So, he said quietly, "What do you need? With your merits, you can exchange resources from my Hengshui sect. Why take this risk?" Those people smiled honestly and said one after another, "That's not necessary. We dare not take more spiritual objects from your sect, let alone the forced conscription of Hengshui sect." The matter of the soul-chasing shuttle alone left a shadow in people's hearts. How dare we ask for their spiritual objects again? Isn't this asking for trouble? Few of the cultivators who can survive are stupid, and they are very clear in their hearts. After speaking, those people left without looking back. If Hengshui sect dares to get angry because of this matter, I am afraid it will be difficult to package his reputation again. After all, there are other cultivators here. Seeing that someone took the lead, Yan Lingyu also felt eager to move. Chapter 142, Dan Ning before death, Lingyu's determination. Seeing that someone had left first, Yan Lingyu also began to prepare his own plan. With those cultivators sharing the attention, if there is any accident, it will not bring disaster to himself and implicate the family. After all, he is also a hero who kept Cuisin. Yan Lingyu found Duan Feng in disgust. Duan, I want to use this black water blue scale shield to exchange for your Earth Circumference bead. The Earth Circumference bead is the protective magic weapon used by Duan Feng before. Its effect is similar to Yan Lingyu's previous Taoist technique Xuanshan technique, which will generate a protective barrier. In the former's plan, this item plays a vital role. Duan Feng is also straightforward. The functions and values of the two magic weapons are comparable, and Yan Lingyu has also done him a favor, so it is naturally great to be able to provide help. Then, Yan Lingyu came to the 8th Master Yan Jichuan again, and said with a confident smile, "8th Master, I am going to get the land of the pure evil." The latter was shocked after hearing this, and advised, "Lingyu, don't be confused by the strange things. There are 5th-level monsters in that land. It is too dangerous. The family is still waiting for you to go back and take charge of the situation." After a short silence, Yan Lingyu raised his head and said with a firm tone, "8th Master, don't you know me? I have always been cautious and put safety first. I have a certain degree of confidence in this idea. If it is really impossible, I also know how to advance and retreat." Yan Jichuan was still a little worried. "Then I will go with you. If I really get the Lingsha and help you become a golden elixir, even if I die, I will have no regrets." As he said, he prepared to leave, but was stopped by the man in front of him. "8th Master, Lingyu can do it by himself. If you follow, it will affect my performance." Yan Lingyu looked at the other person deeply. When he said these words, he had already predicted the other person's actions. But he had to do it. Yan Jichuan is his witness. He will definitely be searched by the Hengshui sect, so Yan Jichuan's memory is crucial. What Yan Lingyu is doing now is to create an illusion so that it is natural for him to go to the swamp. He highlights his confidence, so that if he dies, people will only think that he is arrogant and will not think of other meanings of death. Yan Lingyu took such pains to distance his future death from the demon cultivator. "Then you must pay attention to safety and must come back, okay? By the way, Grandpapa, you will take these sundries back first." While speaking, Yan Lingyu took out a storage bag and put it in the other person's hand. Yan Jichuan put it away naturally without thinking much. Then, the two of them parted ways. After leaving the team, Yan Lingyu followed the mark he had made before and carefully went to the swamp. At the same time, he kept taking pills to adjust his physical condition to the best possible, and to condense his own cultivation as much as possible. Not long after, Yan Lingyu came to the familiar swamp. Wearing the phantom robe, he used his spiritual sense to explore the surrounding situation. The battle here has ended, and many monsters can be seen licking their wounds. And there are more monster corpses that have not been dealt with in time. Yan Lingyu observed that a huge, broken crocodile body was lying in the muddy swamp. It had no breath and had been dead for some time. This was the Xianke crocodile that fought with the Huiking Lingmang. It seems that it was the Huiking Lingmang that won the final victory in this territorial battle. This made Yan Lingyu feel relieved. All the preparations he made were designed based on the existence of this monster. If the Cheyenne crocodile was the winner, it might not get the spiritual evil and die in vain. Following the direction in his memory and avoiding the attention of many 3rd and 4th level monsters, Yan Lingyu finally came to the clear spring of the breeding ground of Jinghuajuansha. It was still calm and clear here, as if it had not been disturbed by anything, as if it was a paradise. He kept his eyes on the spiritual evil spirit, took a deep breath, and rushed in. He rushed to the center of the spring at a very fast speed. Things went better than expected. Yan Lingyu touched the spiritual evil spirit. The soothing and life-giving feeling was constantly transmitted from his arm to all parts of his body. He wrapped it with his true energy and wanted to take it into his pocket. However, something strange happened. In the originally clear pool, a black shadow suddenly appeared, as if it appeared out of thin air. It was the companion monster of the earth-cleansing Hojuansha, Ho Qingling. A bloody mouth rose from the bottom of the water, like a black hole, directly sucking Yan Lingyu and everything around him into the snake's belly. The latter only felt the sky darken and the surrounding environment changed. But Yan Lingyu was not panicked at all. He used his magic power to drive it, and a transparent light barrier that could wrap him up emerged with it as the center of the circle. The Earth's Haozhu he had previously exchanged for the magic weapon Blackwater Blue Scale Shield played a role. He looked at the gastric acid and mucus that were constantly secreted around him. After confirming that these could not break through the barrier at present, his goal had completed the first step. Then, he sat in suspension and began to refine the Dijinghuansha in front of him. This time, he wanted to try to condense the pill. Anyway, because of Hengshui sect, he was going to die. How could he not try to break through the golden pill? When he foresaw his own end, all this was planned. He took advantage of the python's habit of swallowing and exchanged it for the Earthjo pearl. The combination of the two would allow him to have a short period of safety after obtaining the Dijinghuansha. This period of time was the best opportunity for him to try to condense the pill. Yan Lingyu knew that the Earthjo pearl would not last long, but it would not take too much time to break through the golden pill itself. The retreat of the cultivator was more for recuperating the body and consolidating the realm. But he didn't need this. He just wanted to become a golden pill. Even if he was digested by stomach acid just after becoming a golden pill, he would still win. Yan Lingyu never thought he could survive. In this most helpless situation, he gambled everything. If successful, his cultivation in the next life can be quickly restored to the Jinden realm, which will save a lot of trouble. Even if he fails, he will have rich experience, which can help him break through the realm in the next life. Just like breaking through the foundation building period. Moreover, this help is not only for himself, but also for other members of the Yan family who want to break through the Jinden. However, his preparations before the Jinden are not sufficient. Even if Dijinghuajuansha can increase the success rate, Yan Lingyu is likely to fail. But this is the only way out. He can only do this. Yan Lingyu recalled various scenes in his mind. There are his apprentices, his wife and children, and his clansmen. He sighed with mixed feelings. When he entered the snake's belly, the ending was already determined and could not be changed. Then, his eyes became unusually firm again. Looking at Dijinghuajuansha. I will definitely break through the Jinden. The true energy in his body flowed, the spiritual body opened up, the pill was taken, and the pill was officially formed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Pill condensed in the stomach, pill formed into 7th transformation. Ho Qingling is a 5th level demon beast that is almost 6th level. It is so huge that it can swallow a living person alive without any impact. In the body, the earth circulation pearl is still supporting it. When Yan Lingyu exchanged spiritual treasures with Duanfeng before, it was because the earth circulation pearl was more suitable for protecting his body in this situation. And the earth circulation pearl consumes less mana, so he doesn't need to put too much thought on it, and can break through the realm with peace of mind. At this moment, because of the protection of the light barrier, stomach acid and other substances cannot erode Yan Lingyu, but an unknown reaction occurs on the surface of the light barrier, making a sizzling sound. Of course, Yan Lingyu didn't pay attention to these. He is now wholeheartedly refining the earth pure Hojuansha. Condensing the pill and building the foundation are different and the same. The main step of building the foundation is to draw spiritual energy into the body, expand the tendons and veins, change the quality of the true energy, and make the cultivator's circulation of this Houschen more fluent and smooth. This requires a lot of spiritual energy support. But condensing the pill is not. The cultivator condenses the elixir in the Danshan, using the innate evil spirit to condense a golden elixir, and uses the evil spirit to merge with his own true ki, so that the physique, soul, true ki, etc. are transformed, secretly in line with the innate, and connected with the way of heaven. Therefore, the key point of condensing the elixir is to operate the evil spirit. To introduce the evil spirit into the Danshan. First, it must be introduced into the body. But the evil spirit is not a substance inherent in the human body, nor is it like spiritual energy that fits everything. If you want it to enter the body without causing harm to the human body, you must first turn it into your own thing, that is, refine it. This is what Yan Lingyu is doing now. Because his wife Qin Hanner has refined the earth-level spiritual evil spirit, and he has watched beside him, so he is not ignorant like the general foundation-building cultivators in how to refine the spiritual evil spirit, but has some experience. Yan Lingyu wrapped the earth-purifying evil spirit with his own unique true ki and slowly assimilated it. The nature of the earth purification and fire spirit is that it is endless and has a long history, so it is relatively mild and will not produce a strong rejection reaction. This is one of the reasons why it can increase the success rate of cultivators in condensing pills. When Qin Hanner got the earth-burning fire spirit, it seemed irritable, which made the former spend a lot of time on the refining step. This is also why Qin Hanner started to try to refine it before he reached the late stage of foundation building, because if he really waited until the pill was about to be condensed, it would be too late to refine it. Perhaps because of the Hengshui spirit body, Yan Lingyu has an innate affinity for this kind of water-based wonder. He guessed that before half an incense stick had passed, the earth purification and fire spirit had been almost refined by him. The next step is to lead it into the body. After dispersing the true ki attached to the surface of the skin, Yan Lingyu actually touched this spirit for the first time. I only felt that the texture was cold. As if putting your hands into a clear stream, feeling the vague flow, which makes people feel comfortable. Then, the spirit evil turned into thin threads and began to drill into his skin, along the tendons and true ki, and transported to his whole body. This process was painful. It was as if there were thousands of sharp needles shuttling back and forth in his body and outside, and every part of his body was transmitting pain, especially his hands dragging the spirit evil. Yan Lingyu's skin began to turn red, and there was a furnace burning inside his body. He gritted his teeth, wanting to let as much spirit evil as possible enter his body. In this way, the quality of the golden elixir condensed later would be high, and the probability of successful breakthrough would be greater. And this discomfort in the whole body began to slowly ease as the body adapted to this foreign object. Until the sweat oozing from Yan Lingyu's forehead completely dried up, he could finally easily lead the evil spirit in his body and do the circulation of the body like true ki. At this moment, as he operated the Zhuangxi Shumianju, the continuous power in his body and the sense of life brought by the spirit evil merged with each other, and you were in me and I was in you. After completing all this, Yan Lingyu was able to proceed to the next step. That was to condense the elixir. Under the influence of the true ki, the earthly purity and the evil spirit went to the Danshan area. Outside the abdominal cavity, the working spirit python seemed to have sensed something was wrong. It did not feel the increase of its own energy, but instead an unknown force was generated in its body. It had intelligence and guessed a possibility that the human monk who had just been swallowed into its stomach was trying to condense the elixir. However, the strange phenomenon caused by the other party's condensation of the elixir was transmitted from its stomach to the entire snake body. In fear, the working spirit python took off its disguise, revealing its true body, and rolled in the pond, which was not big to begin with. For a while, water splashed everywhere, and the movement here scared the surrounding small demons and beasts to flee everywhere. The working spirit python wanted to spit out the monk in its body, but it was easy to swallow it in, but it was even more difficult to get it out. The earthly pearl was stuck in the narrow part of the abdomen, and no matter how the other party rolled and squirmed, it was unmoved, as if it had taken root in the spirit python. Moreover, it was already seriously injured, and many of its talents could not play their original effects. Originally, it wanted to eat the human cultivator and the spirit demon together to replenish its body. It didn't expect to end up like this. At this moment, the spirit beast only felt regret. It shouldn't have eaten anything raw. It would have to kill it before eating it in the future. Unfortunately, Yan Lingyu in the body of the working spirit python didn't know its thoughts, and even if it knew, it would probably not change. And his condensation of the elixir has also entered the final stage. Perhaps Yan Lingyu has a very high talent for alchemy, and this matter of condensing the elixir is somewhat related to alchemy, so that he can take the shape of the elixir for the first time. Looking inside the elixir field, there is a delicate little round ball that keeps rotating. Yan Lingyu can clearly see that there are really lines on its smooth surface. Dan lines. A few elixir lines mean a few turns of the golden elixir. When all the elixir lines emerge, it means that the cultivator's elixir is successful and his cultivation has reached a new level. How can Yan Lingyu not be surprised? In fact, he didn't have much hope at the beginning. But this time when he was congealing the pill, his harmony with others was too outstanding. Whether it was his belief in living for death, his perfect match with Dijing Huan Shan, his talent for alchemy and the assistance of Hengshui spirit body, all these helped him to overcome this difficulty. Gradually, under Yan Lingyu's control, all the evil spirits that entered his body were blocked in Danshan, a small area. The evil spirits continued to flow into the primary pill. The Dan pattern on the pill became more and more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, it was fixed on 7. In other words, Yan Lingyu's pill was now 7 turns. The 7-turn golden pill was already quite good and had the possibility of being promoted to the nascent soul. If it was below the 6-turn golden pill, it would be impossible to break through the nascent soul. As if his body was hollowed out, the extremely weak Yan Lingyu showed a relieved smile. As this pill was completed, the Earth Joe pearl that protected him and the 5 elements heart Deo seal that he had laid in advance all shattered, completing their own missions. The working Lingmang, who had already been tortured by him and was injured and dying, could no longer suppress his anger and wanted to kill him. Yan Lingyu, who was still feeling the aura of his own transformation, had no resistance. He was completely devoid of spiritual energy and extremely weak. He secretly asked Yanji to take away many of his props. All kinds of digestive fluids in the snake's stomach swept towards him. Chapter 144 Death, Settlement. Outside the Langaya secret realm, there was a group of human cultivators hiding their bodies and rushing on their way. They were the foundation-building cultivators of the Hengshui sect and various forces who were trying to capture the demon cultivator Kuizin. Fellow Taoist Yan, where are you going? Fellow Taoist Lingyu, He Tongfeng had always had a doubt in his heart, and only now did he ask Yan Jichuan. Yan Lingyu left in a hurry after exchanging magic weapons with Duanfeng, which made him a little worried. He was not worried about whether the other party was safe, but about the direction of the sect. He was afraid that it was really related to Kuizin. And Yan Jichuan also replied with a sad face, Lingyu wants to seek the opportunity of the golden elixir. There is a place where the pure and clean evil spirits are born. He wants to try to get it. Unlike the other party's concerns about the direction, this 5th-generation member of the Yan family really cares about the safety of Yan Lingyu. The latter has been gone for several days, and there is still no news. I don't know what happened to him. At this moment, Yan Jichuan was also a little annoyed. He thought to himself, Lingyu is still too young and not calm enough. He took such a risky thing because he was talented and proud, and he regarded the development of the family as his own responsibility. When he returns, he still needs to let the elder Liu give him a good lecture. He thought so and continued to follow the team. Along the way, he also saw the strength of the real disciples of Hengshui sect like Zhuang Huming, who is obviously at the foundation building stage. He was almost able to resist a 5th-level monster. If 2 disciples of Hengshui sect took action, they could even kill the monster. Although Yanji was born in the Dacian Imperial Army, this was the first time he had seen such a scene. Under the escort of the disciples of Hengshui sect, the group arrived at the gathering place unscathed. There was a teleportation array here. After passing through, they appeared in front of a huge flying boat. Several Yuanings Henrin had been waiting for a long time. But there was no joy on his face, only sternness. Not only because many disciples of the sect had died, but also because of the news that Kuizin had committed suicide. Suddenly, Yan Jichuan felt a terrifying force sweeping over him, imprisoning his soul. He couldn't move, and was terrified. He could only let others do whatever they wanted. He didn't know why the other party suddenly attacked. Was he going to kill him? In shock, a hand was placed on his forehead. Yan Jichuan felt that his body was naked, and all the secrets of his body were seen by the other party. He knew that he was being searched for his soul. Someone in the army, the old Taoist with a white beard in front of him, said doubtfully. Yan Jichuan didn't know this person. He was not the Tu Yuanying Zhenren who appeared in Xiaonan County before. His Taoist name was Zhu Feng. Zhenren Zhu Feng carefully checked Yan Jichuan's memory, trying to find any clues about cuisine. He didn't just check the past few days. Zhenren Zhu Feng even started looking from 10 years ago. There were many foundation-building cultivators and few Zhenren in the scene. Except for a few disciples of Hengshui sect, others including Duan Feng and He Tongfeng could not avoid a soul search. Ah, evil beast! Suddenly, a scream and a roar of anger rang out. Yan Jichuan couldn't know what happened exactly, but the fear in his heart became deeper. Master Zhu Feng's brows suddenly gathered, and a fierce light flashed in his eyes. I always feel that there is something wrong with Yan Lingyu. Hearing this, Yan Jichuan, who was still in a daze, felt his heart tighten and he became much more sober in an instant. He wanted to say something for his clansman, but he couldn't open his mouth. However, the words the other party said after putting him down made him feel like being struck by lightning. It's a pity that Yan Lingyu died, otherwise we could still see if there was any problem with him. Senior, who did you say died? Yan Jichuan asked dully, not caring about the other party's identity. The junior who came with you. What's wrong? None of the family members know him. No, how could Lingyu die? The 1,000-mile soul-chasing shuttle has the ability to detect life. His soul-chasing shuttle lost its response half a day ago. I think he died in that opportunity. Master Zhu Feng naturally knew everything after reading the memory, and said faintly. Impossible. Yan Jichuan suddenly fell to his knees and wailed. Kia Shuling, the Yan family ancestral hall. Here are the tablets of the ancestors of the Yan family, as well as the soul lamps of each direct lineage. Suddenly, one of the soul lamps went out. This change quickly attracted the attention of the guarding clansmen. Yan Zhenchang was sad and knew that another clan member had passed away. However, when he went forward to check who the soul lamp belonged to, the result made his face change drastically and his whole body tremble. The owner of this soul lamp was actually his ninth uncle, Yan Lingyu. There were too many things to do at this time. Yan Zhenchang rubbed his eyes hard. After confirming that it was indeed this name, he almost fell down with weak legs. Gritting his teeth, Yan Zhenchang picked up the extinguished soul lamp and ran out. Dang dang dang, 3 long-lasting bell sounds echoed throughout Qiushiling. All the clansmen of the Yan family were shocked and headed towards the Qiushifang clan house without any prior agreement. The 3 bell sounds meant that a major event concerning the survival of the Yan family had occurred. The bell was naturally struck by Yan Zhencheng. When he handed the soul lamp in his hand to Liu Yuxi, the elder of the Yan family, he was already in tears. And the old woman with white hair was also full of disbelief. She was stunned. The clan members kept coming, and the Yan family ancestral hall was quiet, with sobbing sounds from time to time. Until a sad cry, Lingyu, Kinhainer suddenly felt dizzy, her delicate body was shaky, and her mood was broken. She was very familiar with the soul lamp in the hands of the elder Liu. When she came back from the gap in time and space, she had been waiting for a long time. Ninth brother's sister, Yan Lingyu, who was beside her, supported Kinhainer's body that was about to fall, and transmitted her true energy to soothe the other party's disordered breath. At this moment, the Yan family seemed to have lost its backbone and didn't know what to do next. The head of the family, Yan Yingzhao, stood up with a resolute face. He ordered, "The whole family is on alert. Lingshang, you go and take people to understand the situation of Hengshui sect Lingfei. You start to evacuate the clan members and send the old and young in the clan to other counties." Yan Yingzhao was able to serve as the head of the family because of his outstanding ability. The Yan family had just encountered a disaster, and he was still able to command in an orderly manner. They didn't know whether Yan Lingyu lived or died, but it was probably related to Hengshui sect, and when Hengshui sect was involved, the Yan family didn't even have the power to refute. They could only break up into pieces, keep as many clan members as possible, and welcome the possible Hengshui sect offensive. In the process of evaluation by the spring and autumn system, name, Yan Lingyu, age 48, cultivation, early golden core stage, family rating, A, consolidate power, improve overall strength of clan members, improve overall potential of Yan family bloodline, exaggerate clan power, increase clan domain, and increase Yan family influence to county level. Awards. 1. Inheritance of cultivation, can quickly restore to the previous life's cultivation in the next life. 2. Natural sword body, supreme talent in swordsmanship. 3. Artifact embryo. 4. Ordinary formation talent. 5. Increase of clan power. The average qualifications of the 11th and 12th generations of the Yan family have been moderately improved. Next life identity, Yan Qingxun, the 11th generation of the Yan family, reincarnation and progress. Chapter 145 130 years, Yan Qingxun of the Yan family. After the system sound prompt, Yan Lingyu's vision fell into darkness until the surrounding noise woke him up. In front of him was a strange man and woman. The man's face was full of joy, while the woman's face was pale and a little weak. At this moment, Yan Lingyu was in the woman's arms. He found that he had reincarnated into a baby. Brother Dong, what name should we give our son, now that he is in the Qing generation? Let's call him Qingxun. I hope he can surpass his father and go further and further on the road of cultivating immortals. Brother Dong, our son's eyes are so big and bright. He has been looking at me, and he doesn't cry. The surroundings became dim again, and Yan Qingxun, who had just been reincarnated, fell into deep sleep again. In a blink of an eye, 16 years passed. Qingling County, Yangzhou, Damian City, Anyan Villa. In the study, a young man with delicate eyebrows and eyes was concentrating on reading. Suddenly, he was in a trance and almost fell off the chair. Yan Qingxun, Yan Lingyu, the boy murmured. Because he had similar experiences, Yan Qingxun reacted quickly and accepted his current identity. He looked at the surrounding environment and himself in front of the bronze mirror, but still felt a strange feeling in his heart. And his head was also swollen and painful. The memories of several lives were merging. He understood a little why each memory recovery had to be carried out at the age of 16, instead of being revived as soon as he was reincarnated. It should be that the young body could not bear such a huge amount of information. Qingling County, Yan family, is it the branch that the fourth uncle separated from? Yan Qingxun had some impression. In his previous life, in the inheritance area of Xianming sect, he met Meng Zi and other disciples of the Five Sons Gate. The location of the Five Sons Gate was Qingling County. At that time, the family sent a tribe of people here to reproduce in order to secretly protect the bloodline. The leader was the romantic Yan Yinglian. The memory was still transmitting. Yan Qingxun's parents were alive in this life. His father Yan Rudong was 48 years old, with a 7th level cultivation level of key training, and was the 10th generation of the Yan family. Rinji Yingling Zin Xianru, Qingshan Jingshu Gonghan, the first 3 generations of Yan Ping and others did not have generation names. His mother's name is Li Zumei, 46 years old. This year she is at the 5th level of key training. She was born as a casual cultivator, and married Yan Rudong 20 years ago. Because both of them have mediocre qualifications, they pinned their hopes of longevity on their children. Yan Qingxun has an elder brother, but unfortunately he has no spiritual roots and was sent to the mortal world. And his sister Yan Qingjun, whose qualifications are not very good, is also 4 spiritual roots, and she is at the 3rd level of key training at the age of 13. Yan Qingxun, as the one with the best talent in this small family, has 3 spiritual roots, so he naturally bears the most. Fortunately, the main spiritual root is water, so the Zhuangxi Shui Mianju can continue to be practiced. Now Yan Qingxun is at the 6th level of key training, and his training speed is already considered to be at the upper middle level in the Yangzhou lineage. This is due to his hard work. After all the memories were integrated, Yan Qingxun began to pay attention to the main family in Qiashiling. Unfortunately, perhaps because of his low status in this life and the lack of close exchanges between the main vein and the branch veins, Yan Qingxun did not know much about the main vein. It was just that the main vein was developing very well, occupying almost 1/3 of Xiaonan County, and there were 2 giant cultivators in the family. Thinking of this, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that his determination to die still saved the Yan family. At the same time, the ancestor of the Yan family was also relieved. All his efforts were not in vain. The Yan family slowly got on the right track, and even without him, it could develop and prosper. This was actually what made him happiest. If he hadn't been there for a few years, the family would have been depressed. Wouldn't he have been mad to death? 130 years have passed. Unconsciously, Yan Qingxun let out a light sigh, feeling that things and people were no longer the same. The memory of the previous life was clearly just like just now. I don't know what happened to the master family. Of the two Jinden, one should be Hainer, right? What about Zinun and Zinwei, Alice? I'm afraid I won't recognize them in my current state. Yan Qingxun felt a strong sense of self-blame in his heart, feeling guilty towards his wife and children. Then, he thought of his apprentice Liu Yuxi, and his expression became even more depressed. If Liu Yuxi hadn't been able to break through the Jinden, she would not be alive now. Suddenly, Yan Qingxun smiled again. I really want to see the look of that girl in the underworld, confused because she can't find me. With her wisdom, she should be able to guess that Yan Lingyu is her master. After all, Yan Qingxun was mature and quickly came out of his negative emotions. Now that he has another life, he still has a lot of things to accomplish. The sense of oppression brought to him by the Hengshui sect is still fresh in his memory. It is worth mentioning that for some reason, the Yan family has instilled the idea of hostility to the Hengshui sect into the younger generation. Perhaps after Yan Lingyu's death, something happened between the Yan family and the Hengshui sect. To know these and all the things about the main family, there is one person who can be asked. That is the ancestor of the Yongzhou lineage, Yan Zingwu. That's right, it was Yan Zingwu who counterattacked the He family's 9th level of key training with the 8th level of key training in the Yan He competition, showing an amazing talent for puppets. In Yan Qingxun's memory, Yan Zingwu later followed the elders of the Yu County Yushi sect and entered the first line of key training. I don't know why he came to the Yongzhou lineage. But one thing is certain, he must know a lot of things. Of course, it is still difficult to talk to Yan Zingwu without revealing his identity, judging from Yan Qingxun's current situation. But after understanding that the family is not in danger, Yan Qingxun didn't care. He can take it slowly. What he has to do now is to show his talent, restore his cultivation, and stand at the peak again. The rewards given by the system have arrived. Let's not talk about the restoration of familiar cultivation and the improvement of the qualifications of the same generation of clansmen. As for the natural sword body and ordinary formation talent, he doesn't know how to play it. So, in the end, focus on the artifact embryo. There was a small black ball in Yan Qingxun's danshan. There was nothing else abnormal about him, except for the small ball. I think this is the rewarded artifact. But after observing for a while, he calmed down. Magical tools, spiritual tools, magic treasures, spiritual treasures, artifacts, these are legendary things. You must be cautious when dealing with them. Moreover, Yan Qingxun himself was at a loss as to how to use the artifact. It was also at this time that he thought of a good friend. I don't know how Hai Chongyang is doing. That kid won't pass away. He is about 180 or 90 years old, maybe because he was used to using the know-it-all. When Yan Qingxun's desire for knowledge arose in his heart, the first person he thought of was Hai Chongyang. Hai Ocean's death in the Langaya secret realm was a big blow to the Hai family. It might cause the Hai family to sink. No, we must find out the situation in Xiaonan County as soon as possible. Yan Qingxun closed the book in front of him and left the study room, ready to practice and see the effect of his natural sword body. As for studying? What the hell? After 4 generations of being a human, didn't he pass the Yan family's knowledge assessment with his eyes closed? Chapter 146, Transformation of Skills, 3 Autumn Sword Technique. 3 days later, Yan Qingxun came out of the family training room. At this moment, he has converted the practice into the Zhuangxi Shumianju. Now he is waiting for his cultivation to recover and rebuild his foundation. He also practiced Renshu Yinli and the source of the spirit body. Both are top-level Zhuan-level Taoist techniques, and the source of the spirit body is particularly important for him who has lost his Hengshui spirit body. Yan Qingxun needs this amplification method. Perhaps it is because he was a golden elixir in his previous life. In this life, he has a premonition that his cultivation speed will be faster and his foundation will be deeper. When he returned to his residence, he saw that his father Yan Rudong had returned. Yan Rudong was not talented and had no possibility of becoming a foundation builder. He was just an ordinary person in the family, relying on managing the family business for a living and earning a salary of spirit stones. Seeing his son coming back, he said in confusion, "Qingxun, why have you been so mysterious these days and never stayed at home? The clan competition is about to start, don't slack off and play around." Recently, Yan Qingxun has been in the training room because of his change of cultivation method, and Yan Rudong has been away from home due to work, so the latter thought that his son was distracted and wanted to give him some advice. "Dad, don't worry, Qingxun understands, I am also preparing for the competition, Yan Lingyu replied with a smile. In these 3 days, in addition to changing his cultivation method, he also completely adapted to this identity and was able to communicate with his parents without any flaws without revealing his true colors. You must win glory for me, at least get the top 5, oh no, the top 8, Yan Rudong, who wanted his son to succeed, naturally wanted his son to do better, but he knew that he could not give too much help. If the goal was set too high, it would put too much pressure on the child. After all, he had been through this before. Don't worry, Dad. I'm sure I can get first place this time. Hey, don't say nice things. Just do your best. Yan Rudong only felt that the other party said this to make him happy. And Yan Lingyu didn't say much? This first place must be won. This is related to many things, including contact with the current Yan family elder Yan Lingyu. Moreover, his previous 16 years of memory are also affecting him. After all, Yan Lingyu's memory is revived rather than covered. He also has feelings for his parents and siblings in this life. If he can make them smile, he will naturally be happy to do it. After the father and son exchanged greetings again, they separated. Yan Lingyu tidied up the house, took out a black iron sword, and walked out of the house. He kept passing through the pavilions and corridors, and some of the tribesmen he met did not interrupt his steps. He didn't stop until he came to a quaint wooden building. The library. Looking up, Yan Lingyu stepped into it. There was nothing special inside the library. This is where the Yan family stored classics. Behind the wooden platform in the center of the first floor, sat an old man who was taking a nap. Yan Lingyu walked up to him and greeted him respectfully. Fifth grandfather, I want to borrow a sword book. Yan Wang, a 9th generation member of the Yan family, was in the early stage of foundation building and was one of the 6 foundation building practitioners in the Yan family's Yongzhou lineage. The old man opened his eyes and looked at the young man in front of him, and slowly said, Lingyu, why did you start practicing swordsmanship? Even if it's because of the family competition, you can't cram it the last minute. Yan Wang recognized the other person. He was a young man with good potential in the clan. But he was only good, with a little hope of building a foundation. So he thought that this young man should still focus on one thing. If he was fickle, it would delay his cultivation, so he reminded him like this. Thank you for the reminder, 5th grandfather. Yesterday, Lingyu dreamed of the ancestor Yan Lingyu. He performed a set of swordsmanship on me. I think the ancestor is in heaven and is reminding me something, so I borrowed a set of swordsmanship today to practice it, Yan Lingyu said without blushing or beating his heart. The name Yan Lingyu is very useful, whether it is the main line or the branch line, and many members of the Yan family believe in the former. Sure enough, as soon as this was said, the expression of the 5th grandfather changed, his dark eyes shone, and he stood up. It's true, there have been rumors in the world of immortal cultivation that ancestors have dreams. Generally, those who are dreamed of are extremely talented. He didn't think the younger generation in front of him would lie. If this really happened, maybe the Yan family would get another good talent. As a member of the Yan family, Yan Wang deeply understands the truth that everyone is born with talent. If many members of the family can find their own path, even if their cultivation potential is not high, they can show amazing results. Of course, these are all later. We have to see if the younger generation in front of us really has talent in swordsmanship. Yan Wang took out a sign, handed it to Yan Lingyu, and said, in the deepest part of the 2nd floor of the library, there is a copy of 3 Autumn Sword Art. You can try it. 3 Autumn Sword Art is a yellow grade upper grade sword art. For Yan Lingyu now, it will be a little difficult to practice, but it can also reflect his potential. Thank you, 5th grandpa. Yan Lingyu took the sign, thanked him respectfully, and went upstairs. The classics on the 1st floor of the library can be borrowed by any clan member, but the grade is not high. The yellow grade upper grade and above classics are placed on the 2nd floor. To enter the 2nd floor and above, you have to pay family contribution points. This time Yan Lingyu did not submit contribution points when he entered, so I think Yan Wang paid for him. Yan Lingyu was relieved. Rules are dead, people are alive, and the Yan family knows how to adapt. If the potential clan members are blocked outside the gate because of this rule, it will go against the original intention of setting up family contribution points. The Yan family established a merit hall in order to better allocate limited resources and give every member of the family the opportunity to get the support of the family. Instead of letting some people take whatever they want. There will be rewards for every effort. In this way, the family cohesion will gradually increase. The family power will become stronger and stronger. Yan Qingxun walked through the second floor. Soon he found the 3 autumn sword art. This is a rubbing copy. After a rough look, he was satisfied. Then he left the library with his sword art and went straight to the back mountain of Anyan Villa. In his previous life, Yan Qingxun already knew that there would be a natural sword body in this world. He learned about it from the Kia Shilling incident. Later, he looked for Hai Chongyang to learn about this spirit body. But the reply he got was unknown. There is no record of this natural sword body in the Shangzong's Hengshui sect. If even this kind of sect has no record, it means that the natural sword body may have never appeared in the territory of the Daqian dynasty. This may be created specifically for him by the Suizhe Chunqiu system. Thinking of the power of the Hengshui spirit body in his previous life, Yan Qingxun couldn't help but be curious. What effect does this natural sword body have? How much blessing can it bring to him? Sword cultivators have always been known for killing. Yan Lingyu in his previous life lacked this ability to attack and kill from the beginning to the end. He felt that he could not exert his strength in every fight. It was only in the later period, when he mastered the hidden flow spirit finger and regained the 3 lotus blue sword, that the situation improved a little, but it was still stretched. So, at this moment, Yan Qingxun was full of curiosity about this natural sword body. He had just finished practicing the technique and came to try the sword. Chapter 147, Natural Sword Body, Future Plans. The days of practicing swordsmanship passed quickly. Yan Qingxun stayed in the back mountain for 7 consecutive days. In the first 3 days, he often went home to rest. In the last 4 days, he simply stayed in a small hut on the back mountain. Eating and practicing were all done in the back mountain. And the efforts of these days were not in vain. The 3 autumn sword art was also practiced. However, the result achieved was completely different from what he imagined, which also made him deeply understand the role of the natural sword body. In front of a huge rock, Yan Qingxun held an ordinary black iron sword in his hand. He raised his hand and the sword fell, lightly, but with infinite power. The blade was wrapped in a pale yellow sword light, and it cut the huge rock abruptly. The incision was smooth and flat, as if it had been polished by humans, unlike the ordinary sharp blade. Not only that, there was a special breath left on the incision, cold and solemn, which made people feel the autumn. This is far beyond the previous life. Yan Qingxun's eyes lit up and he murmured to himself. In his previous life, although he had the Hengshui spirit body to bless him with various water-based Taoist techniques, his attack ability was still insufficient. Even before he reached the 9th level of Qi training, it was difficult for him to cause the current destructive power. In other words, now, although he is only at the 6th level of Qi training, he already has the strength to threaten the 8th level of Qi training. This is the effect of the natural sword body. The natural sword body is very different from what Yan Qingxun originally expected. Like the sword and the sword, in fact, like refining equipment, refining pills, and formations, they are all considered as cultivation skills, not Taoist magic. Therefore, Yan Qingxun thought that the natural sword body directly gave him the talent for swordsmanship, allowing him to easily master various sword secrets. But this is not the case. Yan Qingxun's speed in mastering the 3 autumn sword art was not too terrifying. It took him 7 days from entry to great success. You must know that he is not an ordinary cultivator. Yan Qingxun has been a human for 4 lifetimes, and in his previous life, he broke through the golden elixir at the last moment. His knowledge far exceeds that of ordinary Qi training cultivators, so it is relatively easy for him to master this low-level skill. So, what is the wonder of the innate sword body? Let's start with the 3 autumn sword art. There are 3 realms in the 3 autumn sword art, and each realm has 3 corresponding sword moves. They are the beginning of autumn sword, the white dew sword, and the frost sword. But the sword move that Yan Qingxun used before was not any of these 3 swords. In other words, it is a fusion of these 3 swords. With the help of the innate sword body, Yan Qingxun can accurately comprehend the core of the sword art, unravel the essence, and finally condense the entire sword art into one sword move. This is a special kind of understanding. It feels very strange that Yan Qingxun can't use other moves. He can't use the beginning of autumn sword, the white dew sword, or the frost sword, but he can easily use the fused sword move, the sword style that gathers all the advantages of the 3 swords. This kind of simplification and condensation effect is terrifying. Just imagine. Yan Qingxun comprehended 100 sword arts and condensed 100 sword moves. Any sword is the essence of heaven and earth and the wisdom of the predecessors. His killing methods must be the top batch among the sword cultivators. Moreover, this natural sword body is not only useful to him, but also a great help to his family members. Condensing the complicated sword techniques into a simple sword. It can help the family members to practice better. Perhaps it is still difficult for cultivators without sword talent to comprehend and learn. But for those family members with wisdom, it is of great use. This is equivalent to Yan Qingxun chewing up the sword tactics and then contributing the most essential part. This saves precious time. It can be seen that in the near future, Yan Qingxun will be able to cultivate a group of flying sword immortals for the Yan family. Then, Yan Qingxun thought again, frowned slightly and said, "This spirit body is too evil, maybe it will bring disaster." The two lives have Hengshui spirit body and natural sword body respectively. Let's not talk about which one is stronger. Hengshui spirit body can only work on oneself. If others kidnap Yan Lingyu, they will not get any benefits. But the natural sword body is different. This is an unparalleled artifact for creating high-level swordsmanship, and anyone can use it. If someone discovered Yan Qingxun's abnormality, perhaps some big forces would secretly take action, detain him, and create this condensed sword move for them all the time. It seems that this identity must be hidden. Yan Qingxun was not afraid. He had too many secrets. He was reincarnated and had unknown artifacts. Each of them could make him fall into the abyss. What's wrong with having another natural sword body? But in the future, you have to plan your sword moves and moves carefully. This natural sword body is a double-edged sword. Yan Qingxun stayed in the back mountain for another half a day to thoroughly perfect and master the condensed sword style. He named this sword style Three Autumn Sword. At the same time, the black iron sword in his hand was eventually scrapped due to the pressure brought by the Three Autumn Sword for a long time. This means that Yan Qingxun's practice ends here. At this time, he has changed a little from a few days ago, and his momentum is much sharper. In the previous life, Yan Lingyu gave people the feeling of being gentle as water. In this life, he is sharp. Yan Qingxun looked to the south, where was Hengshui, the main vein of the Yan family, and further south was the 10,000 Mountains, in which was the Hengshui sect. He still felt resentful about his death in his previous life. He was recruited in his previous life, and then forced by the 1,000-mile soul-chasing shuttle. In the end, in order to keep his identity, he chose to commit suicide. Yan Qingxun felt helpless and aggrieved about all this. His Yan family was still too weak. Why did the Hengshui sect only recruit a few counties in the south? Because the southern forces had no strength and no background. You asked the Hengshui sect to go to the central plains to find someone, but the Hengshui sect didn't dare. Everyone knows that persimmons are picked on the weak. Yan Qingxun doesn't want to encounter similar things again in this life. He wants to have stronger strength, and he wants to make the Yan family stronger. But Sheonan County, or the southern part of Daqian, is still too barren. It is already the top to be able to produce a few golden elixirs. The real vast world is still in the central plains, near the Daqian imperial city. That is where the cultivators fight for the upper limit. In fact, if Yan Lingyu had not died in his previous life, after he broke through the golden elixir, the next step would be to start settling in the central plains. Unfortunately, he died before he even started his business. This regret must be made up in this life. Fortunately, Sheonan County in the rear is now stable, and he does not have to worry about a fire at home. He can devote himself to this matter. And there is also destiny in the dark. He was reincarnated in Qingling County, the junction of the central plains and the south, as if guiding his next path. The central plains is vast and rich, with hidden dragons and phoenixes. Yan Qingxun does not intend to hide his talent and is ready to make a splash. In the previous life, the Yan family was still weak, and there was also the hungry wolf Zhang family watching from the outside world. Some actions had to be careful and cautious. But now there is no need. This is also the benefit of a strong family. Not only can it provide the clan members with rich training conditions, but more importantly, it can provide shelter and safety. Chapter 148, The Yan Family's Past, Top Management's Secret Discussion. Yangzhou, Damian City, Xianayan Pavilion. In a secret room, two men who looked similar sat at the two ends of the coffee table. One of them was a little old, with gray hair and a voice full of vicissitudes. "Third brother, how is Hengshui recently?" The person who spoke was Yan Lingyu, the elder of the Yan family's branch in Qingling County. He slowly drank a sip of tea and looked at the middle-aged man in front of him. Among the Yan family's Xin generation, the third one is Yan Xingkang, the first person of the Yan family's Xin generation who came back from Shaonan Academy. At this moment, if you observe carefully, you will find that although Yan Xingkang is introverted, he has a strong spiritual energy all over his body. He has become a giant cultivator. One of the two giants of the Yan family is him. In fact, Yan Xingkang has become a giant for 50 years, faster than King Hainer. However, the next 50 years did not allow him to make any further progress in his cultivation, and he could only stop at the early stage of giant. There are many factors that affect this. The evil spirit used by Yan Xingkang to condense the pill was not the top-notch one, but a mysterious evil spirit, which caused his pill to become the 5th level, affecting his cultivation. But this was not the main reason. The main reason was that his future was blocked. Simply put, the skills Yan Xingkang learned were only at the mysterious level, and there was only a way to cultivate to the peak of foundation building. Therefore, when he became a golden pill, if he wanted to continue to practice, he had to either complete the skills himself or find a way to take over the skills. The difficulty of these two is still difficult for him and the Yan family today. Yan Xingkang said lightly, "It has been 10 years since the last beast died. Now Shaonan County is completely stable, and we can start that plan." The cousin Yan Xingkang nodded without hesitation, with a hint of expectation in his turbid eyes. "Third brother, what should we do next? Now that Aunt Jiu is in charge of the rear, I will lead a group of clansmen into the Central Plains. The purpose is to gain a firm foothold first, and then slowly develop power. The main manpower will come from the main vein, but you also need to provide some outstanding younger clansmen." Yan Xingkang's eyes flashed with brilliance, and at the same time, all kinds of memories of the past 100 years came to his mind. 130 years ago, Yan Lingyu, the pillar of the Yan family at that time, died in the Langaya secret realm. Although he made many preparations to minimize the suspicion of Hengshui sect on him. But the other party still became alert because of Yan Lingyu's sudden departure. In the anxiety of the Yan family, they monitored the Yan family for a full 10 years. In those 10 years, the Yan family completely stopped developing, because everything they did would be investigated by Hengshui sect. Even Yan Lingyu, who had hidden and inherited this Hanming sect's talisman formation, was caught. Fortunately, Hengshui sect was not interested in the inheritance of Hanming sect, so the Yan family did not suffer a great disaster. Although the Yan family finally survived the difficult 10 years, the shadow has always shrouded the hearts of all the Yan family members, and even after 100 years, it still lingers. The Hengshui sect is too domineering. It was clearly their conscription that sent Uncle Jiu to go. And he sacrificed for it, but they ignored their kindness and treated my Yan family like this. Even Aunt Jiu wanted to find his body, but she couldn't do it, and Grandpa Jichuan, he was full of energy when he left, but he became a different person when he came back, crazy and mad, Yan Xingkang said with a flash of pain in his eyes. The oppression of the Hengshui sect is far more than that. It was only after the Yan family gradually entered the upper class of Shaonan County that they knew about its blood-sucking behavior against the southern forces. Because of the demon cultivator incident, the Hengshui sect also suffered heavy losses, so the so-called conscription in the past 100 years has increased greatly. Almost every 20 years, the Yan family sends foundation-building cultivators to work for them. The lucky ones can come back, the unlucky ones die outside. Only then did the Yan family know the reason why Shaonan County was in decline, and why it was difficult for a small force in Shaonan County to develop. They had no choice. Therefore, during the ups and downs of the century, the Yan family had been planning a new way out. They knew that if they wanted to get rid of the shackles of the Hengshui sect, they had to find a way to become stronger. If the Jiandan realm was not good, then the Yuanying realm would be used. If the Yuanying realm was not good, then the Liangsu realm would be used. The Yan family's resistance and unyielding spirit were once again refined. This is also the reason why the Yan family was able to rise after being suppressed and monitored by the Hengshui sect for 10 years, and gave birth to 2 Jiandan and more than 20 foundation-building cultivators. If they want to strengthen themselves, they can't stay in the southern counties, and can only find a way from the Central Plains. But the Central Plains is not a small place like Shaonan County. Yan Ping, the ancestor of the Yan family, an ordinary foundation-building cultivator, can gain a foothold. In the Central Plains, The power relations are complicated and undercurrents are constant. If you break in rashly, you don't even know how you died. The Yan family can only choose to find a backer first and develop slowly. This is also the reason why Yan Xingkang wants to bring outstanding juniors in. Everywhere needs people with outstanding talents. Yan Xingkang exhaled and asked, Xingkui, does your branch have any outstanding younger generations? I plan to focus on training them before I leave. Ru Ying, King Feng, King Min, King Chang, they are all good. Third brother, are you anxious? The family competition will be held in 3 months, and you can just check it out. Maybe you can find new talents. The matter of settling in the Central Plains can only be done slowly. Let's talk about it after watching the family competition. Then, the brothers who had not seen each other for several years continued to talk about other family matters. On the other side, Yan Qingxun had returned to his residence. While his parents were asking about his well-being, he entered the bedroom, but did not fall asleep, but opened his storage bag. Looking at the scattered spirit stones in it, he wanted to laugh. He hadn't felt the taste of poverty for a long time. That black iron sword cost him 2 months' salary. And Yan Qingxun was embarrassed to ask his parents in this life for it. There are still 3 months before the family competition. It seems that during this period of time, if I want to become rich again, I have to find other ways, Yan Qingxun muttered to himself. Then, he thought of the ordinary array talent given by the system. Although it is only ordinary level, not as outstanding as in the previous life, it should be enough. It is worth mentioning that Yan Qingxun also discovered in the past 2 days that his attainments in alchemy are not far behind. The memories of the previous life will still have an impact on this life. As long as he's a little familiar with it, he will be an alchemy master again. It's just that the upper limit is missing, and the kind of unrestrained alchemy enlightenment is missing. This makes Yan Qingxun regretful. If he had known that this thing could be preserved, he should have found a way to become an alchemy master in his previous life. After clearing these trivial matters, Yan Qingxun began to search in his mind. Soon, a memory emerged. This is a formation. Xiao Divine Sword Talisman Formation. Yan Qingxun got this formation in the secret realm of the Talisman Formation. At that time, he had no talent for formations or swordsmanship, so he could not practice them. Now, everything is ready. Not to mention the ordinary formation talent. Although the natural sword body cannot greatly improve the swordsmanship comprehension, it can also improve Yan Qingxun's talent for swordsmanship. With these two, he should be able to take down the little 5 divine sword talisman formation that he has coveted for a long time. Chapter 149, Showing Talent, Elders Are Surprised. Half a month later, in the alchemy hall of the Yan family, Yan Qingxun arrived and handed a storage bag in his hand to the elder of the Yan family in front of the counter. Yan Ruiyu opened the storage bag, which contained 6 jade bottles, each of which contained 5 Yankee pills. After carefully observing the quality of the pills, he said in admiration, Qingxun, your alchemy skills are becoming more and more sophisticated. Maybe if you work hard, you may become an alchemy master. Now the Yan family is in short supply of alchemy talents. With this status, the family can also strongly support you to break through the foundation and provide you with convenience. Then, Yan Ruiyu said, or should we convert the pills into spirit stones as before? Yes, the young man replied. Well, a total of 30 Yankee pills, count them as 180 spirit stones for you. The alchemy hall steward took the spirit stones and handed them to Yan Qingxun, and reminded him, don't waste your talent for alchemy, Qingxun, 6th uncle, I know. The latter took it, thanked him respectfully, and turned to leave. After getting familiar with the alchemy process, Yan Qingxun demonstrated his alchemy skills and used them to exchange for the spiritual objects he needed. These spiritual stones have many uses. For example, to buy magic tools and swordsmanship. The black iron sword was broken, and he urgently needed to replace it. The 3 autumn sword had also been cultivated to the extreme, and he also needed to find a new swordsmanship to make up for the current vacancy. Last time, his clansmen helped him pay, but he couldn't rely on others for everything, and he had to do it himself. Because of his natural sword body, Yan Qingxun did not plan to practice other Taoist arts. In this life, he planned to switch to swordsmanship. As for his talent in formation, he estimated that he would stop at the Master of Formation, and it would take a lot of time to practice, which was a bit unprofitable. At most, it was a supplementary study in his spare time. Coming out of the alchemy hall, he turned in a direction and headed towards the library. However, Before he arrived at the place, Yan Qingxun was stopped by a girl halfway. The girl looked about the same age as the former at the moment, and was in the prime of her youth. But her expression was unusually cold. "Do you know who is the strongest among the younger generation of the Yan family?" The girl's voice also revealed a sense of pride. Yan Qingxun stopped and looked at the girl in front of him whose origin was unknown, a little dazed. This girl and Hai Chongyang are carved from the same mold. This is what he thought at the moment. The girl's appearance is 9 points similar to Hai Chongyang in his memory. Especially the self-righteous and obedient temperament, which is deeply inherited from the latter. And the girl is also wearing the Taoist uniform of the Hai family. Therefore, Yan Qingxun has reason to believe that this girl has 1,000 threads and one relationship with Hai Chongyang. Maybe she is the other's offspring. Because he thought of his old friend, Yan Qingxun also became interested in the girl. He did not answer the other's question, but changed the topic and asked, "What is the girl's name?" "Hai Yumo, you haven't answered my question yet. It should be my second brother Yan Qingfen. He has reached the 9th level of key training and is about to build a foundation." Yan Qingxun said with a smile, and the memory of his previous life came to his mind, which made him feel touched. "Do you know where he is now?" the girl asked again. "I don't know, goodbye." Hai Yumo acted decisively. After learning the information, he turned around and left behind a beautiful figure. But Yan Qingxun fell into deep thought, wondering why the other party appeared here. After thinking about it, he couldn't figure it out, so he continued to do his direct business. From the Yan family's Dan Hall to the library, you have to pass through the Yan family compound. When passing by here, Yan Qingxun found something strange again. There were many strangers in the Yan family. Looking at the other party's clothes and appearance, he could roughly guess the identities of some people. There were Hai family members, Yan family main lineage people, and Kunlun Gate disciples. Kunlun Gate is also a big force in Cheonan County. In the previous life, there was a giant and master in the gate. At that time, Yan Lingyu got married and met this senior in the house in Kaishiling. It was this point that made Yan Qingxun wonder. He could understand that the Hai family came to this branch. After all, the relationship between the Yan family and the Hai family has always been close. Maybe the top leaders of the two sides are conspiring to do something big. But why did the Kunlun sect get involved? The Yan family and the Kunlun sect did not have much contact. I guess something happened in Cheonan County in the past 130 years. Yan Qingxun could only explain it this way, but there was still a question. Where did the people from Kongtong sect go? The Yan family, the Hai family, and the Kongtong sect are known as the Iron Triangle of Cheonan County. How come only the first two families appeared here? In Yan Qingxun's impression, when they went to the Langaya secret realm, Kongtong sect had an elder who survived, and the relationship between the two parties was beyond words. He had many questions in his mind, but seeing that the other party had just arrived at the Yan family in a dusty state, he didn't dare to step forward and ask more questions, so he walked through the crowd and continued forward. "Fifth Grandpa, I'm here to return the 3 Autumn Sword Art." Entering the library, Yan Qingxun presented the classics. Fifth Master Yan Xianwang stroked his beard, squinted his eyes and took the book, and asked back, "It's only been a month, and you sent the sword formula back. Have you given up practicing?" "Not really, I have completed my practice," Yan Qingxun replied. "Oh? Don't lie to me. Although this 3 Autumn Sword formula is only yellow level, it is also extraordinary. It takes 3 months for ordinary Kigen practitioners to get started. Since you borrowed the sword formula, it has only been 20 days, and you have learned it. People in the Yan family should value integrity." Yan Xianwang showed a trace of suspicion. The young man didn't say much. He raised his hand lightly, used his finger as a sword, and drew it to his side. In an instant, a green-yellow light shot out. But because it was not from a sharp sword, the light did not fly far before it dissipated and turned into a wisp of breeze. This, Yan Xianwang widened his eyes, full of disbelief. In fact, he was also a sword cultivator, and he was the one who had made the most progress in swordsmanship in the history of the Yan family. Moreover, he had practiced the 3 Autumn Sword Art and knew the details of this sword technique. But it was precisely because of this that he was even more shocked at this moment. He saw Yan Qingxun's method. This was not any move of the 3 Autumn Sword Art, but it integrated all the true charm of the 3 Autumn Sword Art. Simplifying is always the most difficult. The sword cultivator who created the 3 Autumn Sword Art must have wanted to turn the 3 swords into one sword, But why didn't he do it? Because the ability, understanding, etc. are all limited. Good boy, Yan Xianwang finally reacted after a brief daze, and said with excitement. Then, he flashed from behind the stage to in front of Yan Qingxun. He wanted to be serious, but he couldn't stop smiling and asked, "Did you create this sword style? How did you create it?" But the young man looked indifferent and answered in a dull voice, "I don't know. I just practiced according to the sword manual. I felt uncomfortable practicing some parts, so I gave them up. In the end, I practiced like this. I don't know if it's good or bad." "Good, good, it must be good." Yan Xianwang suddenly laughed. "Genius, an absolute sword genius. My Yan family can also have a sword immortal who is in charge of killing." Ha ha ha. Chapter 150, The Weakness of Kongtong Sect and the Potential of the Sword Spirit Body. The dream of the ancestor Yan Lingyu turned out to be so useful. It has created a great talent for my Yan family. By the way, Qingxun, have you ever shown your sword skills to other clan members? Fifth grandfather Yan Xianwang suddenly stopped smiling and said mysteriously. Yan Qingxun shook his head. "No, even my parents don't know my current situation." "Okay, fifth grandfather, I'll ask you to do something. Before the family competition, you must not reveal your talent to others." "Why is that?" Yan Qingxun was a little confused. "Ha ha ha, last time in the family competition, your fourth grandfather won 2 pots of wine from me in a bet. This time I have to win it back." Then, Yan Xianwang took the young man to the backstage and sat down. He asked him about the creation of swordsmanship. After all, this old man was also a sword cultivator, and he was also quite interested in the fusion sword. And Yan Qingxun also took this opportunity to indirectly ask about why the people of the Hai family appeared in the Yangzhou branch. Yan Xianwang, as a senior member of the Yan family and a foundation-building cultivator, naturally knows more than the former. He also solved many of the former's doubts. First of all, the Hai family. Hai Yumo is indeed the granddaughter of Hai Chonggang, and is also the most talented member of the new generation of the Hai family, but her personality is a little too arrogant, even more than her grandfather, and although the Yan and Hai families are on good terms, she has a hint of hostility towards the Yan family. And now, the Hai family has also changed a lot. The death of Hai Xiaoshan did cause great turmoil in the Hai family, and the Yan family was more or less implicated by the Hengshui sect's investigation. Fortunately, Hai Chonggang stepped forward to stabilize the situation. Not only that, the development of the Hai family in the future, like the Yan family, is getting better and better. Hai Chonggang also successfully broke through the Jinden 40 years ago. Under his leadership, the status of the Hai family has risen to a higher level, and even eliminated their feud in Yuzhou. On the other hand, Kongtong sect is not so lucky. In the past 100 years, no one has broken through the Jinden. Lin Zixin and other people Yan Qingxun was familiar with all reached their lifespan and passed away. This made the reincarnated latter sigh. At the beginning, he and Lin Hai had a very good relationship with each other, just like brothers, but now one of them is gone. Lin Zixin's talent is not inferior to Hai Chonggang. The reason why he did not break through the golden elixir should be related to his lax character. It is also reasonable. With the departure of the old generation, the friendship between the Yan family and Kongtong sect has become more and more indifferent. In addition, Kongtong sect has no successors, so it has declined. In the end, it became a vassal of the Yan family like the Bai family and the Lu family. This also explains why people from the Hai family can appear in the Yan family branch, but the disciples of Kongtong sect do not. As for why Kunlun sect can be so close to the Yan family, this has to do with another member of the Yan family, that is, Yan Zinkang. It was at this time that Yan Qingxun was sure who the other golden elixir cultivator of the Yan family was. Yan Zinkang and Wang Nianse of Kunlun sect are close friends. The relationship between the two is similar to that of Yan Halen and the other two. Moreover, they are both students of Shaonan Academy, and their relationship is even closer. After Yan Zinkang and Wang Nianse both became Jinden and took control of the power of the two forces, the Yan family and Kunlun sect naturally came together. Fifth grandfather Yan Xianwang talked about many things in the clan, and Yan Qingxun also listened with great interest. However, Yan Xianwang was just an ordinary family elder after all, and he didn't know some secrets himself. For example, why did the Hai family and Kunlun sect come to the Yan family branch at this moment? But Yan Qingxun had some guesses. The two talked for a long time, and when it got dark, They wanted to part. King Sun, you will move to my place tomorrow. Although I, the fifth grandpa, have average talent in swordsmanship, I have been around for decades and have some experience, which can help you avoid many detours. After the matter was over, Yan Xianwang said earnestly. Thank you, fifth grandpa, Yan Kingsun bowed. Also, if you have any needs, just tell me. The family can still cultivate a member with potential, Kingsun understands. After returning the 3 autumn sword art, another month passed. On this day, Yan Kingsun came out of the library again, with a thoughtful look in his eyes. During this month, his cultivation was improved, and he would be able to advance to the 7th level of key training in a short time. Not only that, he also learned a sword technique called Hengshui sword art. Similarly, because of the existence of the natural sword body, this sword technique was condensed into a sort of essence, namely his Hengshui sword. And Yan Kingsun's attention at this moment is on this. This Hengshui sword art was not chosen by him at random. Its attributes and artistic conception of moves are similar to those of 3 autumn sword art. This makes the condensed Hengshui sword and the 3 autumn sword that he learned before complement each other. And this is not what Yan Kingsun is really considering. In fact, he is now perfecting a sword manual. A sword manual composed of condensed swords. But after learning about the wonderful uses of the natural sword body, Yan Kingsun realized its potential for development. The natural sword body can condense sword techniques into one sword style. Can this condensed sword style be condensed further? Each sword technique is basically composed of several sword moves. If Yan Kingsun condenses multiple sword moves into a new sword technique, and then uses the natural sword body, it is really possible to brew new sword moves. 9 becomes 3, and 3 becomes 1. In the end, this sword style that gathers the evolution of multiple sword techniques will definitely be more powerful. Moreover, if this really works, Yan Kingsun can continue to condense it. If all the sword techniques in the world are combined into one sword, then the power of this sword can be imagined. Yan Kingsun has been trying this in the past few days. The natural sword body also improves his sword accomplishment, so it is not difficult to compose a sword technique by himself. It's just that the basic sword techniques you choose need to be carefully considered. After all, it is to be compiled into a sword technique, and at least the sword nature must be familiar. This is also the main reason why he chose Hengshui sword art. Then, Yan Kingsun went to the back mountain with his thoughts in mind. He wanted to try this Hengshui sword and the Sankyu sword to see if he could create a new sword art based on these, and use this as a benchmark to find the subject matter needed for the next sword art. From Enyan Villa to the back mountain, you have to pass through a dense forest in the middle. Few people come here on weekdays, but today there are many rare guests. Yan Kingsun slowed down his pace and approached gently, and found that there were several members of the Yan family. The former knew their identities, all of whom were the younger generation of the Yan family in Yongzhou. Yan Qingfeng, Yan Qingmin, and Yan Qingcheng were all in the array. There were also some other clansmen. However, at this moment, they were full of anger on their faces and kept talking. Yan Kingsun walked in and listened for a while before he knew the situation clearly. Because he was busy practicing swords and refining pills, he didn't know what had happened in the Yan family in the past month. It was also from these Yan family juniors that he learned about the clan's competition. That is, the descendants of the main branch of the Yan family, the Hai family, the Kunlun clan, etc., have competed with the clansmen of the Yongzhou branch. Moreover, Yan Qingfeng and others were defeated miserably. This is also the reason why they look so angry. But Yan Kingsun frowned more and more as he listened. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.